to start recording.
Hello to respected speakers and good evening. Thank you, each one of you, for being here with us. In today's conference, I would like to focus on all our new members at this distinguished platform. I welcome you aboard who have joined us for sharing our views on the topic sustainability of art and design in the global market. Sustainability is the greatest challenge that humans have ever faced. At the national and international levels, political, social, and economic leaders are seeking an economically sound world, a viable plant, and a fairer society. It's meeting our own needs without compromising, without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In addition to natural resources, we also need social and economic resources. Sustainability is not just environmentalism. I would like to welcome my keynote speaker, Dr. Maliha Azmi Agha. She has done her master's in art and design from Philadelphia University of USA, and she has also done her master's in art and design from the University of Punjab. She has won award from she has won Artist Association Award in 1997, and she is also a member of ICOM, and she was also a board member of ICOM. I would like to thank her for joining us, and I would like to thank our EndNote speaker, Dr. Zahida Qadri. She is chair ICOM ICR, International Committee of Regional Museums, and she's also currently working as a board member of ICOM. And she's also working for the Ministry of Sin. So I just want to thank and the platform ICOM has given us youngsters for explaining or for explaining our views and for sharing our experiences in front of the seniors. So I just want to welcome Dr. Maliha to share your presentation and experience with us. And
should I begin?
Yeah, you can begin now.
Yeah. All right.
You can
thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that introduction, Madiha. Thank you, everybody, for giving us your time. And thank you, Javed Akhtar Saab, for inviting me as the keynote speaker. It's really an honor. And Javed Saab is such a good friend. But I don't know how to, explain it any further. It's just that I admire him thoroughly. And he is sort of like, he's so driven. And I take inspiration from that all the time. It hasn't done anything to me, but it is still an inspiration. So I'm really glad to be here. Thank you so much, everybody. Now, when I was asked to be the keynote speaker, I actually had to Google keynote. What is keynote? So it wasn't anything spectacular, but it is a great honor in any case. The topic that was given to us is sustainability, art and sustainability, and I added to it. I actually thought about it a great deal, and you know how what they say, that when you when you have a whole lot of stuff on your plate, it's better to, sort of pick and choose and take what you think is the gist of it, or what you think you can focus on. And because it is sustainability is such a wide platform, and it speaks across such a level, it's not possible to actually talk about it at length as just sustainability. So therefore, I had to add a little something to it, which I did by thinking about how sustainability works for me. And what I came across, or what I thought would be important for this talk and for all of you out there listening, is actually the struggle to do. Because that comes from a very personal space, a very personal place. And when, as a teacher and as a practicing professional artist, I have realized over time and over the years that the greatest force that is in the way of my creativity is this fear. It is procrastination. And it can be said that procrastination may be, and I don't know if any of you can even relate to that, but if you're a creative, or if you have any of those germs inside you, concerning any of the arts, and even not just the arts, but for many other, on many other platforms as well, you would realize, and perhaps you realize, that procrastination is that one major force which keeps you from doing what you should be doing at a particular time. And it is a constant battle. It is a constant block in your path, and therefore we have what is known as artist's block or writer's block. And that happens all the time to everybody across the globe, day in and day out. For me, myself, I think that is my major failing, because it keeps me from working the way I should be working. Now, I thought very hard about it, and I tried to read up as much as I could about this particular thing called procrastination. And the one word that came across and stayed throughout my hunt was resistance. So resistance is the word. The struggle to do is because there is some resistance to you in your path. It is not resistance from anybody else. It is not external. It does not come from any other source, but it comes from inside yourself. There are blockages, there are fears, well, basically there's not just one fear, but there are many fears, and it's a constant struggle. I mean, okay, fine, you can override that once and get your work done. The main challenge for any creative person, I feel, in order to sustain himself or herself in the world of art, is to get up every day and do her work, to sit down, to work. It has something to do with the creative mindset. It is a universal phenomenon. It works across the globe for the majority of people. I think there must be just very few who possibly do not encounter resistance from within themselves. This resistance is alive, So what I'm going to try and explain to you Also, what I would like you to do is please keep an eye on the time, because when I start to talk, then I can carry on, and that'll be very bad. So somebody will have to stop me, and I'll try and make all my points short and specific. So it begins with having to get up in the morning and actually showing up for work. And that doesn't mean showing up for work doesn't mean, okay, you're going to sit in your car and go someplace. You could be working, like for me, I'm working from home. My studio is downstairs in the basement. For me, showing up would be getting up and going into my basement and actually sitting down to start to work. That is what is required as a creative person from me in order for me to create something or anything. And the greatest stumbling block in the way of that creation, or that act of creating, is the resistance which is inside me, and it is living inside my own head. And if you look at yourselves, I don't know any of you, I only know Akhtar Saab, I don't know any of you, but maybe you can relate to it on some level, and maybe agree with me on some level that yes, this is a fact, and it is true. It is a universal phenomenon. Resistance is actually like a monster, you know? It's evil. It's not a good thing. And what do you have to do for that? You have to fight it. So what does the artist have to do? I'm talking from the viewpoint of an artist, because that is what I am. I can't talk as a scientist. I cannot talk as a medical doctor. I cannot talk as a technician. I cannot even talk as a computer guy, girl, because that's not who I am. I am an artist, all right? I paint. So I'm going to be talking from that perspective, and it is your job to understand from your own perspective what I say and how I mean it, and what can you take away from that. The crux of the matter is that there is this thing, this monster, this evil thing living inside our heads, which is called resistance. And resistance is natural. It is like rain. It does not discriminate. So when rain falls, it falls on everything under that particular cloud. So it doesn't choose me, or choose one other person, or choose one single tree, or choose one single house. If there's a cloud cover, the rain is going to fall down, and it's going to drench everybody who comes under that cloud cover. In the same way, it's the same thing is true for resistance. It is there in all of us. It is something that nature has put in us for whatever reason. I guess because wherever there is good, there is bad as well. The good in this is that you can rise above it. The good in this is that when you sit down to actually do your work, you will have defeated resistance. And so it's a battle. And it's like the artist actually, in a sense, has to be like a warrior who is fighting for her life, for her work, every single day that she shows up for work. So, so there is such an influx and such a bombardment of images, of text, of sound, of ideas around us, especially now in this age where we have the computer and where we have WhatsApp images and messages every morning. When you get up, the first thing you do is, it's like an addiction. But there is definitely such a bombardment of all of that stuff that it kind of paralyzes you. I feel that way. I feel that way because I feel that with this influx of so much information, with this onslaught of so much that is happening all around me, and I'm getting it. I'm not really giving back anything, but I'm getting it. through various means, I become almost like, I become inefficient. I become almost paralyzed with a kind of a fear that I'm not going to be able to override this. I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do with it because somebody else has already done it somewhere on the planet. And that's true. I mean, art all over the planet has already been done. There is no new idea. It's just that you have to be smart enough to present it in such a way that it looks like a new idea, all right? So that is what it's all about. It's all about how you're going to approach it and how you're going to then present it. So the hard part is actually sitting down to do it. And what is keeping us from sitting down to do it is this force, this evil thing, this horrible bully, which is called resistance, which is inside our heads. So the battle is inside your head also. It's a very private and a very personal affair, a very personal battle. And I mean, you can talk about it, of course, like I'm talking to you people about it. We can discuss it and everything. But at the end of the day, we all have our own little, evil things happening inside our heads, which is called resistance. It's the most, believe me, the most toxic, or chalo, let's not exaggerate so much, but one of the most toxic things on the planet, one of the most toxic forces on the planet is this thing called resistance, which stops you from doing the work that you should be doing every single day. All right, so what is it that, how is it that we deal with it? Well, that's a different thing. What elicits resistance? What is it that makes resistance rear its ugly head? There are a bunch of things. The act of creation does it. The act of creation means if you are, let's say, a singer or a songwriter or a playwright or an actor or an artist or a sculptor or a musician or a poet or a writer, any of the creatives, then resistance is going to be very much a part of who you are. Very much, it's going to turn up at your door. It's going to make, at some point in your life, it's going to rear its ugly head and you are going to have to fight it. There are other things that come in the way, or resistance shows itself when you must have realized if you think that you want to diet, you want to lose weight, and you need to exercise. Do you find yourself making excuses for yourself? Yeah, all the time. You know, you need to go for that walk, but no, I can't do it right now because I have somebody coming for tea. No, I can't do it right now because I haven't taken my clothes out, or I can't do it right now, it's raining outside. I can't do it right now, what will the neighbors say? Oh, the list is endless. So that's resistance inside your head. Then there is another thing that happens. If you have, resistance kicks in when you have a bad habit, or if you have, let's say, any kind of addiction. Why is it so difficult to get over an addiction? Because inside your head, that thing is, that little monster keeps telling you, no, it's okay, carry on, carry on, carry on. And so you don't fight that addiction, or you find it very difficult to fight that addiction. Then there is another thing, any act of courage, whether it is moral courage, ethical courage, courage of any sort at any level, political courage for that matter, that is fought, or that seems to become a problem because of resistance. Taking a principled stand in the face of adversity becomes very, very difficult to do because there is resistance to that, the resistance inside your head, inside your own head. Now, resistance is something, it's a word, but it is not something that you can actually hold on to. It cannot be touched. All the five senses, it doesn't belong to those five senses, all right? So you can't taste it, you can't see it, you can't feel it. No, sorry, you can feel it. You can't touch it, but you can feel it. Why? Because it is inside your head. It is something that is not tangible. It is something else that is working here. So to fight that, then it also becomes very difficult because it is just something that you know is existing over there, but you don't really know that it's there. So it's a very difficult situation to deal with, a very difficult situation. And because resistance is such a strong foe, such a strong enemy, it has no conscience, believe me. I'm talking about resistance almost as if it is another human being residing inside my head. And if you people start to think of it in that same manner, then you will also understand that, yeah, it almost takes on all the human qualities, because you have evil on one side and you have good on one side, and resistance is definitely evil. So it is a bully as well. And sometimes, and it has many faces. So, you know, if any of you is an illustrator here, or if any of you is good at making animation or stuff, maybe you can give resistance a face. It has many faces. And these faces present themselves as sometimes as your conscience. It presents yourself sometimes as a bully. Sometimes it will show up and pretend that it's on your side when it is not. So there are many masks, you know, that a person is wearing when it comes to resistance. But the main thing is that it is a force which prevents us from doing our work at the time that we need to do it. And that seems to be the major hurdle towards sustainability. Sustainability is something that, you know, you need to carry it across. It has to be sustained. It has to continue. That continuation or that continuity then stops because of this monster called resistance, which will not let you work, which will not let you sit down and do your job. So sustainability can be, you know, there's a crack or there's a break or whatever, and then you have to find another. It's like, you know, you say that, okay, then the best friend of resistance is what? The best friend of resistance is procrastination. I know procrastination. I am procrastination. I live procrastination. I hate it. I understand what it is all about. It is inside me. I think it's a genetic thing, because all of my brothers and sisters procrastinate. We all procrastinate. My children procrastinate. Why does that happen? I don't know. Is it genetic? I haven't read into it yet. I will someday. But right now, I'm telling you that I think it's genetic, because we all have it. In my family, we all have it. What happens? When you procrastinate, you're making excuses. That is just a form of resistance. Resistance has just reared its head and told you that, no, look, actually, I'm not the one. Actually, it's only procrastination. So what happens is procrastination starts to make excuses, and it starts to tell you, no, I will do it. It's just that I don't want to do it right now. I will do it tomorrow. That's procrastination. You know, when you have to prepare for an examination, for all of my life, I have procrastinated. I have always studied at the very last minute, at the 11th hour. My mother always used to beat me over the head and say, okay, yeah, why do you do this? You know, I would start studying the night before the exam, and then I would be in this major panic. And that's not a nice place to be. It's not. It's very uncomfortable. But I don't know of myself in any other way. That is who I am. I have procrastinated now for so long that I don't know how not to procrastinate. So if I sit down to do my work, I will still find an excuse to not do my work, because I will tell myself, no, first let me do some cleaning. Jhad poch kar lu. You know, let me just fix everything around here on my desk. No, this is out of place. No, that's not right. This shouldn't even be here. No, let me first put my clothes in order. They're just lying around in a bunch over here. Main wo rakh lu pehle. You're finding excuses to not work. That's procrastination. You're pushing it off. You're putting it off till the very last minute. And then at the very last minute, you're on hot water and in big trouble. And that is what is, again, the enemy of sustainability, because there is resistance against you doing your work. And that's not nice. So what happens? So the artist, I equate the artist with the warrior. And when I say warrior is a word that is actually used for a fighter, jo pichle zamane mein hota tha. You no longer call a soldier a warrior. But I also feel that a warrior in those days, let's say in the 1500s or in the 1200 or in the BC era, was a far braver man than a soldier today, because that was a face-to-face, head-on, close-up clash with the enemy, which now we don't do. Now we fight long distance, right? You drop a nuke on somebody, you send a drone. That's not brave. So I equate the artist with the warrior. Why? Because both of them need to be very brave. They both need to fight their battles in ways that are specific to them. They both have to wake up every day and be on the warpath, because they can't otherwise win. So there has to be courage. You have to have the courage of your convictions in order for you to be a creative person who is going to be sustaining his or her artwork, who is going to be working at something which is on an even keel and present it to the world. So what happens? So when you become a procrastinator, you turn it into a habit, and that's not good. So when we procrastinate, we are only doing it because we know that by putting it off, we will be in a happier place. And so that is again happening inside our heads. Again, we're pushing our thoughts away. We're pushing away the fact that we need to do something. Moving on from there, there's something that I read which said that that criticism is, you can disagree with me. It's just something that I'm throwing across to you, but of course you're expected to think about it and toss it around in your own heads and see if you even agree with it. But they say that if you are a critic, right? If you are criticizing, a person criticizes because he or she feels that he or she cannot actually do the work that that other person has done that you are criticizing. Now I see a bunch of you smiling. Does that mean yes? I think so. We have so many critics. We don't have enough people who do, all right? But we have too many people who criticize. We're very, very quick to say, ye galat hai, wo galat hai, no, this should not have been done this way. She doesn't know what she's talking about, blah, blah, blah. So criticism is not nice. And criticism is also, I think, cruel. You know, people who are insecure in their own skin are the people who criticize most. When you go away from here today, I would like you to keep this point in mind. Whenever next somebody criticizes you or criticizes your work, take it with a pinch of salt, but do examine that person and see where that person is coming from. There is something lacking in that person, which is why that person is criticizing you for not being complete as an artist or as anything else, as a mother, as a sister, as anything, as a cook, as a whatever, aap jo marzi keh lo, whatever. Criticism mostly is given by those people who themselves cannot do it. Right? I believe it. I really do, because I have had my share of critics. And all of those people who have criticized have always turned up to be the people that I do not think very highly of for some reason. So there is some form or some kind of an insecurity which is working in them. And it is harmful. It is not nice. It is definitely not nice. And that again becomes a barrier to your creativity. Now what happens is that when you have something like resistance, then there is also self-doubt. Just the way that criticism also creates self-doubt, but then there's positive criticism and there's negative criticism. And it all depends on how you take it and what kind of a personality you have. I have a personality which may not look like it, but I get I go onto shaky ground very easily. I lose faith in myself very easily. I don't know how many of you are like that, but well, these days confidence seems to be the name of the game. So, okay, fine. I can put up a barrier in front of my face. I can put on a face which shows that, oh, she's a very, very confident woman. Maybe she's not. So, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. You've got to look behind the scenes. You've got to scratch the surface to find out who that person actually is underneath the covers. And if there is self-doubt, then that's okay. Because self-doubt means that you are not so sure of yourself that you will not try. Wherever there is self-doubt, you will be questioning, and questioning is very good. So you need to question that, and you need, they say that if you have so much self-doubt that you have to ask people, am I a good artist? Then you are a good artist. But if you think that, oh, there's nobody like me in the world, I, me, myself, mere jaisa to koi duniya mein, main, oh, baba ji, baba, and that kind of stuff. No, let the others do the baba. But the thing is that if you have self-doubt about you being an artist or a writer or a poet, you ask this question, am I a good writer? Am I a good poet? Am I a good artist? Most probably you are, because that means that you are also trying harder than the person who is so confident that he or she doesn't need to actually go down that route, which is hard work. And so there are shortcuts, and you know how our people are. That happens all the time. Chances are that if you are scared to death, then you are okay. Then it's all right. You're okay. Are you paralyzed with fear concerning your work, or before you sit down to do your work? Do you have this kind of a paralysis, or do you have this? It happens to me all the time. Whenever I sit down in front of my drawing board or in front of my canvas, I'm paralyzed. I seriously, I'm paralyzed. It takes the longest time for me to, I might have the ideas in my head, but to actually put the pen on paper, to actually start with the work is what is debilitating. I cannot seem to do it for the longest time. It takes everything out of me. All the juices are sucked out of me in order for me to actually begin to paint or to draw. If you have that fear, or if you feel paralyzed, then that is also a good thing, because it means that you are questioning. It means that you are thinking. It means that you are self-critical. It means that you will innovate. It means that you will try harder. And it's not like it's coming automatically to you. Do you mean to say, I mean, I'm reading this book, Lust for Life, these days. Lust for Life is about by Irving Stone, about the life of Vincent van Gogh. Throughout that book, there is nothing but fear and paralysis. Vincent van Gogh, even though he would paint and draw like a madman, yet he was never sure. He was never sure about his artwork. And he was shot down, of course. I don't mean shot down literally, but shot down by the critics, by the people around him. He was too far ahead of his time. His work was not acceptable. But the fear, the doubt, the self-doubt, the paralysis was very much there. It's a different thing that he didn't sell in his lifetime and he started to sell after he died, but that's a completely different story. But the fact still remains that that fear was there. Am I good enough? Will I be able to do this? Why can't I do this the way Lautrec is doing it? Why can't I do it the way Degas is doing it? And so on and so forth, because you're not living in a vacuum. You have other people working around you, and you were bound. Or us zamane mein to khair, there was no WhatsApp and there was no a mobile phone or anything. So it was only, you could only go to another person's studio to see how that artist was working, or go to a gallery and see how that person was working. But nevertheless, people did get around throughout history. They've done that. So that resistance, so that fear and that paralysis is a good sign. It's a good thing. Then you have, I've written that resistance is directly proportional to love. How does that happen? It falls apart. It's not the same thing. But if you did not love what you were doing, you would not be trying to do it. And when you try to do it, then you face resistance. So it's two different things. It's a little hard to understand and a little slightly philosophical. But nevertheless, you have to, if you want to do something well enough to want to do it, you have to love it. There's no point in doing something if you don't love doing it. Do you understand what I mean? I mean, even with simple things like cooking, let's say, or gardening, or ironing, when you are, when you're ironing your clothes, or when you are fixing your desk, whatever you do, you have to want to do it. You have to love doing that thing, or you don't do it, because if you do it, then you're bound to do it well. And if you're not loving it, then you're not going to do it well, because painful resistance is going to come in and it's going to say, now, what's the point of doing it? You don't even want to do it. And so the whole story starts all over again. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Okay. And then at the end of the day, when you do something that you love to do, then you also realize that after you've done it and you see the finished product, then there is massive, massive gratification. And no feeling on earth is as good as the gratification you get from a job well done. I hope you all agree with that, right? Okay. Then what happens? Then there is, an artist likes to work. People say all the time, how do you? Okay, no, I'll put another little fact across to you, which is that I can't work if somebody is watching me work. All right, I can't. I put my pen down. I put my brush down. I stop working. There are artists who love to be watched while they're working. I think they're performers. I think it's another kind of self-confidence that's working there, which makes them draw and paint while people are watching. I think it's awesome. It's awesome. I am not that kind of person. I'm a very private person. I like to do whatever I do in private. So if you were to walk into my studio and I'm painting, I'll put my brush down. I can't even talk when I'm painting. I can't even listen to music when I'm painting, because if I listen to music, then I start to dance, and then that's not nice, because then I don't work. So solitude. Acha, another little thing. Let me put another little point across to you about how work can become sustainable is, have you ever watched any child or children playing? And I don't mean aapas mein playing. A child playing with herself or himself, a little girl playing with a doll, or a little boy playing with his Lego blocks, right? Alone. That's a very private, a very quiet, a very isolated experience. It's in isolation. It is alone. Why? Because that child is completely focused on her doll or his Lego blocks, trying to make something of it, trying to fix the hair, whatever the little girl or boy is doing. It's playing in isolation. What does the artist do? Mostly the artist plays in isolation. That playing in isolation is actually what works against resistance, right? So you forget about this tug of war, you forget about this evil force which is stopping you from working. You work but you work alone, but you're not alone. Now here is the difficult portion. You're not alone. You're never alone. You are always with yourself. Do you ever feel that? Do you ever see that? As artists or as textile designers or as graphic designers or painters or whatever, whoever is out there, you're never alone. I'm never alone, which is why I'm never bored. There is no such thing as being bored in my life. I have never been bored. But why? Because I always have another person inside my head who is me, the other me. So I don't even know if I'm coming across to you and making any sense. Right. Okay. Yeah. So Nida gets it. But it's a journey that you choose to, it's a path that you choose to walk on, a journey that you choose to make, a path that you traverse by yourself, with yourself. And that's the best companion you can possibly have. Nobody can take that away from you. As an artist, I think we as artists are so blessed to have been given this vocation in life. It doesn't happen to everybody. It's a profession for me, and it's a hobby for me. And if your profession is your hobby, and your hobby is your profession, then how lucky are you? I mean, what more do you want from this life, right? So that's just absolutely amazing. And so Wahape, then when resistance comes in, then you can actually fight it. And then you can actually say, no, back off, because this is something that I want to do. And I'm going to push you to one side. And I'm actually going to start to do what it is that I want to do. And you should never think that resistance cannot be beaten. Because let me tell you, resistance is a natural phenomena. Resistance, which equals procrastination, is a natural phenomena. Resistance has always been there. It has been put into you, into me, and into all the myriads of people on the face of this earth who are alive right now, and all the millions and myriads of people who have lived for the last 50 million years or so, because it is a part of nature. That is how it is. If there is a force of good, there is also a force of evil. Right? If there's a creative power, then there is a power that is going to stop your creativity, right? So you're going to have to look at it from that aspect. I mean, look at it from this aspect. Look at it from the you people are all so little and so young. As a mother, that is also a part of creation, right? You create another human being, all right? Now, you can beat resistance because that creation has to happen. And you want it badly enough, so you make it happen. For 50 million years, if a woman has given birth to children without or with help, then creation has been taking place, all right? And so you have plays like Romeo and Juliet. So you have, यहाँ पे और मैंने क्या लिखा है, मैंने यहाँ पे कुछ लिखा हुआ है that is resistance can be beaten. So you have the Mona Lisa, and you have the Sistine Chapel ceiling, you have the Pieta, and you have David. So you have the Notre Dame, so you have the Golden Gate Bridge. All of the creations of mankind, which are up there, right at the top, are a form of beating or having beaten resistance. Every artist who has been put on the face of this earth has fought against resistance. Leonardo fought it, Michelangelo fought it, Van Gogh fought it, Sadiq Khan fought it. Every single human being on the face of this earth has this natural phenomenon inside his or her brain, which is called resistance, which is going to be telling you, don't do it. And you have to push it aside and do it and tell it, that no, you are not the boss, I am. And so what does it mean? It means then that when the artist decides to fight back against resistance, then the artist decides that he is going into a realm of loneliness, of isolation, of misunderstanding, of self-doubt, of criticism. So it is not an easy thing to be an artist. It is not. It requires strength of character. It requires more than what I would say an engineer would be. Because it is not, because an artist works in isolation. An artist most of the time, and I'm not talking about projects that a lot of people work on, I'm talking about a private enterprise. I'm talking about something you do on your own. So you can beat resistance because artworks, fabulous, absolutely amazing artworks throughout the history of man have been created by artists. So they have beaten down resistance and they have risen, but they have done that alone. They have done that by themselves. So what does it take? One thing that I have realized is that whenever I have made up my mind that I am going to sit down and create a work of art or create something, anything, draw a painting, whatever, what happens is things start to fall into place. It is, I think, an awesome natural phenomenon that when you start to work at something, nature starts to collude with you. Nature starts to step in and help you and raise you up and make it easier for you. Up, likh lo ye cheez. Whenever you people start to work on a project, any of you start to do anything on your own, you make up your mind and you sit down and you start to do it, you will find that things start to happen which will make it easier for you to do it, which will help you to move on in that particular area and towards the given set target. This is how it works. This is how nature works. It's almost like, you know, I mean, I don't want to sound, I don't want to make it sound like a cliche or something, but something is watching out. Something is watching out. There are angels out there who are helping you. There are forces at work, positive forces at work, which will then help you to get to that point that you are wanting to get to because you are working hard at it. Why do they say work hard, work hard, work hard? Yeah. But the thing is that no, when you do, then you do have something which is going to cushion your bumps, something that is going to help you out of nowhere. You're going to be getting that encouragement, you're going to be getting that support. It works. It works. Every time it works. I mean, you aap mere se likhwa lo, that nature comes in and starts to buffer you. It starts to build around you, and it helps to make it easier for you to attain the goal that you set out to do when you set out to do it, right? So I would like to read, if you don't mind, I would like to read a little paragraph from a book which says the magic of making a start. And this is all pointing towards sustainability, because when you work and when you create something, then of course you're sustaining that particular thing, right? So the magic of making a start. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would not otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings, and material assistance which no man would have dreamed would come his way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Goethe was the German poet. one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, magic, and power in it. Begin it now, right? So that is the crux of the matter. Rise above this thing called resistance and procrastination and do what needs to be done. And then you will see that the forces around you are going to collude, they're going to move in with you, and they're going to help make it a success. So with that, I'd like to sort of like draw a line there and finish off. But what I do have is, well, Javed Akhtar Saab had told me that he would like to see my paintings, and I have made a slide presentation. If you people are interested, then I can show it to you. It's just that I need to figure out how to do it here because I'm not very computer savvy. I'm being very honest with you. What am I supposed to do? My slide presentation is lying right there behind this screen. I just need to show it to you guys. So how do I do that? Madiha?
Yes, ma'am. You can share the screen. We have this share section. If you can see in the bottom.
The S, is that the S?
जी, ये share screen का एक option आ रहा है with chat box के साथ नीचे ही आपके आ रहा होगा. वहाँ पे मैंने क्योंकि मल्टीपल लोगों को ओके कर दिया, आप वहाँ से बस उस पे क्लिक करेंगे और आपकी स्क्रीन शेयर हो जाएगी. If you can click on that.
You make it sound so easy, but मुझे share नजर तो आए ना, पहले है कहाँ?
ये
Hold on.
Ma'am, if you can move your cursor.
Yeah.
There's this green enlightened button of share screen in the middle. If you just move your cursor.
Green button in the middle.
Yeah, share screen वहाँ लिखा हुआ है.
अच्छा, मेरी बात सुनो. I have to get somebody to help me with this. Can you just hold on?
Yeah,
no, that's a different share. Can you just hold on? I'm going to get somebody to help.
No problem.
Okay, bear with me. Yeah, they're doing it, but I don't know which button to press to share it. This one? No?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, that wasn't coming. Okay, fine. Now? Okay. It's not opening. Okay, can you see that now, Madiha?
Yes,
Yes,
you can see that.
Yes, we
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll just share some slides of my artwork with you, which actually I've taken from my most recent show, which was in March. I'll quickly go through it. I'm not going to take too much time explaining stuff. It's really pretty simple. I just need for you to see what it is that I do. So this is actually on black paper. It's white pen, and it's a big piece. The title is right there on top. It's about life and living, and death is very much a part of it. Boxed in, which is how we are when we conform. And it's not natural for a tree to conform. It shouldn't be for human beings either. Faryad, it's like a prayer. And all of my works are emanate from or come from a very private place. I think most artists do that. So it comes from personal experience and stuff that I'm going through. And this is obviously faryad, and it's like reaching up into the heavens like a prayer. Down to earth when you don't know where it ends and where it begins. This is all pen and ink. This is a ballpoint pen on pens, colored ballpoint pens on paper. A very, very dark time in my life. And so I had to do this. Same time of my life when I was going through something. And you're welcome to ask, I guess, questions, but maybe that will be later on. This is somewhere where I want to be. And I think that's where I will be when it's the end. That is where I would like to be. Maybe that is where I will be. I don't know. But that's how I would like it to be. Cloud Candy is again something that it's a very big piece. I think it's 5 feet by 3.5 feet or something like that. A really huge piece, which I enjoyed thoroughly making, but it was pretty much, it's all inside my head. It's all very private. It's all about this place, which maybe doesn't exist. Maybe it does. I don't know. But because it exists inside my head, therefore it exists. For me, it's real. This is a big painting. It's more than 6 feet, 6 feet, 4 feet painting. It's huge. Garden party. I think I was in a good mood that time when I painted this one. I love the dark of the night. I think it might have something, I think this black sky that I do might have something to do, or is a throwback to my childhood days when we used to sleep under the sky. I don't know if you people have ever done that, but would we used to my mother used to put all our beds outside in the lawn in Pindi, and we used to sleep under the sky, and sometimes it would rain and we would run in. I think this is a throwback to that. It's definitely from somewhere deep inside my memory. I love the mountains. I'm crazy about the mountains. And I loved, I made a trip up north in 2019. That was the last time I went. We went to the Deosai Plains, and we went to Hunza, and we went to Skardu and everything. And that left such a hugely sharp impact on my brain. I can't get it out of my head. So I just have to, go there in my work. Hunza. And I hope you're being able to read the titles, because my titles are important to me as far as my paintings are concerned. Then we come to the portraits that I've done. Barande Wali. This is one of my favorite paintings. sunset, which is actually, it is sunset because of the kind of light that's there falling on this Babaji's face, but it is also the sunset of his life. It's nearing the end before the sun goes down. This was a Turkish gentleman in Istanbul that I met and painted. This is a slightly older painting. It's Fakir at Data Darbar. So it's the eyes that reveal everything. You don't have to say a lot of things a lot of the time. But if you look hard enough, you will find what is being said, especially when it comes to older people. Why do they go quiet? The more I live, the more I'm beginning to understand. A happy one of my sister. Friends, these are all people I know. An amazing woman. It's called Joie de Vivre because she has this love for life and living, and she is vivacious and she is uplifting. She's just awesome, an awesome human being who has a lot of trouble in her life, but yet she smiles and she's happy. So this is also a pretty big one, 4 feet by 4 feet. So that's the end of that. Now, please tell me, Madhya, how do I get out of this?
You just need to click on the shared screen button again.
If I can find it.
You have to click on stop sharing. If you can, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now,
I'm back.
yeah, you're done.
Good.
Yeah.
Shukran.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing such a wonderful talk about struggle to do in sustainability. And your views are really valuable to us. It's a different perspective I never thought about. And your work is really beautiful. It's intricate, it's delicate, and you have a very sensitive eye towards like nature. So yeah, your work is really beautiful.
Thank you
It's
so much.
mesmerizing, yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I would like to thank Sahida Qadri. She also joined in. And she like on national committee of regional museums, and we also work for Ministry of Employment. And I would like to ask Mr. Zaida if she wants to say anything. Okay. So I think we can start the first presentation if we are done with your presentation, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. If anyone wants to ask any questions, so please you can ask, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Okay. My name is Syed Naeem, and I have some questions. So not really questions, just some comments. So yeah, thanks for the presentation. So something that came, you're saying criticism, okay? So the way I pursue it as there are 4 reasons why criticism is a good thing. So we don't have to take it personally. So number one, criticism is a form of communication. Okay. So if someone has a criticism, it means that they want to give you a feedback. And any society, it cannot proceed and it cannot progress without taking criticism and work on criticism. Number two, feedback in the form of criticism make your product stronger. Number three, it forces you to think about how you work. And lastly, don't take it personally. So, and it's extremely important. So each time we submit a research paper, let's say to a journal or something, they criticize your work always. And without criticism, you cannot really convey your message. So that's the only feedback I had for the speaker. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think, if I may, yeah, you're very right. You're right. What I think meant was the difference between positive and negative criticism. There is such a thing as positive criticism, and then there is criticism for the sake of criticism. So that is where the difference lies. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Thanks.
So thank you, everyone. And we will proceed with the presentations right now. So I would like to welcome Ms. Sania Mubarak. She's working as an assistant professor at the Institute for Art and Culture, Lahore, Pakistan. And she is also working as a coordinator of Textile Design Department. And her topic is need of sustainable textiles in education system. So Sanya, you can share your screen.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Let me discuss about the need of sustainable textiles in education system. Before that, I would like to introduce myself. I've done my Bachelor of Textile Design from Karachi University and doing my Masters of Art Education from BNU Lahore. This is my academic experience from last 11 years in the academic sector only. I've only added the academic experience over here. I've worked at Bahria Foundation for Fashion Design, Karachi, Indus University, Karachi, and Fatma Jinnah and NCA. This is about design and sustainability, creating a synergy through an integrated curriculum. Why I needed to add it, let me discuss it. Before that, I would like to tell you about my interest as a background. It was about in 2019 when I was thinking to reassess my teaching philosophy as an educator. So I thought, what to do next? Like, what is something new we can work on a project? It was basically a thesis project at NCA Rawalpindi. I was there. So my teaching philosophy is to like break the monotonous over the years. I don't like something which is same again and again as an educator only, but not as a practicing artist. Please let me clear it. So I need to arouse to reassess my textile design curriculum and initiated the concept of sustainability within the course outline. I was doing it at NCA Rawalpindi with Ma'am Madhya, of course. The gap I identified and the framework is to let the student understand the concept of sustainability and biodegradability within the textile domain, textile design domain. Like it is about once they are graduated, either they are hired as a print designer or as a weaving designer. From the last around 10 years, I guess, textile art or textile artists are being acknowledged in the Pakistani society. Before that, I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. People would appreciate it, a designer working as a textile artist. And recently, the inclusion of this idea was to open up the world prospect because the West, especially the European market, Australians and British, they are working on sustainability ages ago, like from around 85 and 70s. And we are like far, far, far behind it. As students and graduates, they are not familiar with it. We are so lacking behind it. So I would like to, it's an ongoing research, first of all, and I would like to introduce this concept among my students so they can fulfill the requirements, current requirements of the market, global market. It could be like national or international market. The basic goal of my research is to design a degree major course on sustainable and biodegradable engineering materials. For me, sustainability is about a process. It's an attitude, it's a perspective. I would like my learners, even myself as a learner, I always call myself as a learner. Besides, I am in education system and teaching, but still I call myself as a learner. To know what's the process of sustainability actually. It is about upcycling, it is about recycling, and it is also about constructing new materials which are friendly for the environment. So I would like to introduce this concept to my undergraduate students in already designed textile design program. It's just an addition in the scheme of study. These are the areas focused for my research. Basically, I would like to review the curriculum. It is a liaison between industry and academics, of course. It is also about a multidisciplinary approach. If you have seen it, I called it an engineering material because it's a collaboration between an engineer and a designer. And how you can teach it, how, or you can, I must say, how a student can learn it, it is transformative, or you can say it's constructive. Constructive is self-learning. I can't teach them, okay, we are going to construct this material and all that. They have to do it on their own. They have to identify the problem. They have to work on the process. They have to identify the materials, identify the process and procedures, how the material going to be constructed. So it's a challenging research-based practice course. And under the supervision of definitely a facilitator, that's the faculty member, it is all about innovations. It is all about something eco-friendly material. Why I would like to do it, that will be discussed later. That's the reason. UNESCO, United Nations Education on Sustainable Development, it's a 2030 agenda by the UN government, and they have we all know it, 17 SDGs. That SDGs means Sustainable Development Goals. They have mentioned for the educators the learning objectives. This is the particular SDGs, that's number 12, responsible consumption and production. Because being a textile designer, I would like to highlight the possibilities and challenges of the textile market. So I've completely highlighted the three major disciplines, that is the cognitive learning objectives. The reason UN has given a set of instructions or guidance to work on it. On these basis, I would like to develop a course for my undergraduate students. I'm doing it currently for my Institute for Art and Culture, where I'm like currently enrolled. So inshallah, in later ages, it would be changed in the policy of HEC as well. The learner needs to understand the individual lifestyle. As I've said earlier, the sustainability is a perspective, it's an attitude to change it. It's in the mindset, like Dr. Malia already said, it's within your mind. You have to do it. So sustainability in the textile design domain, for me, is also something you have to come up with something to solve the problem. So learner needs to be productive, and they know the consumption patterns of how is textile industries are creating problems for the environment because of the carbon emissions, fabric waste, toxic water. All these are the problems of unsustainable environment, and Pakistan is one of the major countries who are highly responsible for the landfills of the textile market. This is the social emotional learning objectives. Like students need to encourage to engage themselves in sustainable practices. Sustainable practices, as I said, it's a research-based process. It is not something it can be done within a month. It takes years. I would like later show you my process. Like I've been working on it from 2019, so it's always been 4 years now that I'm supervising it. So there is a need and want of sustainability. We need it and we want it as well. And an individual, myself or yourself or as a learner, need to identify it. We have to educate the consumers, because being a textile designer, you are constructing a product that is for the consumers. So you have to aware the consumer why you want this product and how it is eco-friendly. Now we have behavioral learning objectives. It is about implementation and evaluate. Like it is about reassessing your product or material, how it is useful, what are the challenges or the problems, and how to solve it. So we have like I have to create such activities to evaluate it on students' behalf as well, and students are going to like themselves also evaluating it, because it's a cultural and societal problem of consumption and production. These are the basic three guidelines that UN has given it. Now, from now onwards, I'm going to show you my practices in the studio, like under my supervision and myself constructed these materials. The recipe is already there. Some of them are based on non-woven fabric. It's a textile terminology, and some are woven fabrics. These are agar-agar and a beetroot material. It's a bioplastic. It's completely biodegradable, breathable, flexible. This one is also a bioplastic. We have multiple options in constructing material. This was completely a process work while we were experimenting it. This is from potato starch. It's also very flexible. It was beautiful material, very flexible, soft. This was from rice starch and cactus. Cactus and lemon juice or grass and vinegar work as an antifungal for the materials itself, for the fabric, while we are constructing it. This is from apple cider vinegar, as I've said, like vinegar and cornstarch. And the texture, you can see it, we placed it on some surface and it created a texture. And by the time it dries out, it gives something in browns and orange. Environment actually worked as a third teacher with us. This is from the cactus. You can see, okay, this is from the coconut husk and we knitted it. It was a woven material. Coconut husk usually used to be in like a non-woven form. We can get it from the market, but this was something we created through knitting. This was from the cotton seed. Cotton seed is usually used as for making oils, but we used it as constructing a material. By changing the recipes and the ingredients, we created multiple options. This was the process work basically. All these, like by changing the ingredients and the ratio as well. I hope you can see the difference in the materials, though it's a cotton seed, but by changing its materials and the process, the material is changed. This is another form of bioplastic, but it is based on eggshell and we painted it with organic materials. It was very, very super hard. These are also a few examples from it. So it's an ongoing process. I'm trying to build something like archive form. This is from horsehair. It's a weave fabric and with the organic dyes. So it's completely sustainable materials. This is from the banana banana fiber, and we weaved it from the process of constructing the yarn till the weaving process. This is the last video, you can see it. The process as a whole, which I have already discussed. So the reason behind all this effort was like I identified as a gap in a textile design curriculum. That is, we need to add sustainable textile as a course. Because after graduation, students either go for a print designer or a weaving designers, or either work as a textile artist. But I think now it's the time to add sustainable textiles as a course. I'm just trying to do it because it's an ongoing research. So that is all about it. You can ask any questions if you want.
Thank you, Sanya, for sharing such a wonderful experience. And
Thank you.
I would like Ma'am Maliha to share her comments.
Okay, that was wonderful. Such an eye opener. I had no idea that this is being practiced, and it's actually, you know, it's actually happening. It's actually being worked at. So, and I really don't. I'm not a textile person, so I don't have any idea about. I mean, I do know what biodegradable is and stuff like that, but what I was wondering at was that, you know, the different materials that you showed, Sanya, that you had made, not the one with coconut, but I think there were a bunch of others.
Mhm.
There was something with beetroot and
Yes,
yeah,
cotton
and there was
seed.
G. Now, how does that work? They're not woven, right?
Yeah,
How do you process it? How do you come across
we
that?
cook it. Actually, in textiles, we have two categories. Either it's woven or it's a non-woven. For example, leather. Leather is a non-woven material. Similarly, these materials are also non-woven, except the banana fiber. It was woven, and the coconut as well.
So how would they react to
It's a
let's say
chemical
water?
reaction. Actually, it's a
No.
chemical reaction. We added such binders, natural binders, and we created like process at different procedures from like air dry, room temperature, sunlight, even we baked it. And this is how we process it. The same ingredients, same procedure, same ratio, same recipe, I must say. I call it as a recipe. Same recipe, but with different drying methods. So it gives out like the best result how to work. So do you
Yeah.
guys really think I should like be working on it and a course should be made?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Anybody
I
else?
also think so that in textile design course outlines or curriculum, we can have a course for sustainable textiles. Yeah, I also think there is a need to change the curriculum, so we can request HEC that Miss Sanya
Yes,
is
later.
in this
But
course
I really
outline.
thank you like for giving me such platform to like speak about it. Like it's been 4 years, I'm just doing it on my own. with 1 to 2 people. And like it was a good platform to share my life.
Have you thought of a collaboration with somebody abroad? Maybe somebody who is a little more advanced in
We
this?
did it, but thanks to COVID, thanks to COVID, it was a flop, and I flopped.
You can pick up on it again, can't you? Can't you?
Yeah, I can, but once I'm done with this research, inshallah, by next year, so I'll be doing it. It would be added in my research. Right now, I'm thinking about not as a collaboration, but like assistant from Sapphire, because Sapphire is the only industry in Pakistan who is working for the sustainable collection for local consumers. Actually, my problem is local consumers, not the export market, because it's already there in the market. What I want my society to be like aware of this process or these such materials.
I think personally, I really like it. I think you spoke about carbon dioxide emission, waste generation, health working conditions of plant workers. And I believe it's just very impressive in this regard because you're addressing on these issues. People don't care about health, about workers. Workers, they work all the time, they're making all the products, but nobody care about them. So I think that's great. And I think you're doing a great job. Thanks for the presentation. And just one comment from my end. So regarding the plastic pollution, so globally only 9% of the plastic waste is recycled.
Yes,
So
exactly.
so it is extremely important to recycle all those waste, plastic waste especially. So yeah, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Even you must know recycling has some side effects as well.
Yeah.
So we can't recycle everything. Even like being a woman, most of us are women over here. We used to shop a lot about clothes and we never, ever care about it, how this fabric is going to be discarded. We have so much things like textile is from birth till death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else?
Okay.
I guess so.
Anyone wants to ask any question, any speaker or any listener? Okay. So now we can proceed for the next presentation. I would like to invite Ms. Maham Imran. She's working as a lecturer at National College of Arts. She's an educator, researcher, weaver, and designer. Her topic is use of mulberry paper for medical purposes. So Ms. Maham, please, you may start.
Assalamu alaikum. So thank you, Madhya, for inviting me and sharing my thoughts. Thank you, Ma'am Maliha. I loved your work. I would just say in a word, it's like, you know, when a child, it reflects the heart of a child. Your work was amazing. It was so pure. I loved the freshness of the colors and I loved the composition. Everything was superb.
That's one of the best compliments I've received. Because the
That
child
was-
is pure. That's
exactly.
nice. Thank you so
And your
much.
work reflected, it was so, you know, the first impression is so pure and so, you know, right from the heart. So, and your strokes were so different from what I have seen up till now. It's simply amazing. So it inspired me a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, coming back to my work, I would like to share a bit of my background. I'm from Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture. So while I was studying, Ma'am Shanaz Ismail was our head of the department. She always taught us to stay in touch with your roots. She used to say the only difference between you guys and the people working abroad and the artists working abroad is that you guys have a tradition, you guys have a route to follow. They work like they don't have limits to work with. So the only work that makes you different from them is that you start with your root and you develop amazing things in the world. And that is something that makes you different from their work. So that is something that, clicked my mind and my heart. And since then, There was a gap between, because I got married right after my degree, and then there was a gap of, I think, 6 to 7 years until I started working again. But that thing kept me working in, like different aspects of life. So while I joined NCA, before that I was working with Fatma Jinnah and I was taking their thesis students. I had, because I'm a weaving major, so I used to follow these lines of hers that, the more you will be in touch with your roots, the more you will explore more and experiment a lot. So during the pandemic, I got a chance to do my MS and continue my studies in through NTU, National Textile University, in textile engineering. So since I'm a textile designer and that is something, totally different from my field, I got a chance to, combine these two fields and make something different from what we experience. So today I'm going to share a bit of my research with you guys that I am doing right now. Actually, there are two researches that I'm doing side by side. One is on paper mulberry and how we can actually incorporate paper mulberry and give a solution for face mask, surgical mask, because this is something I came up when pandemic hit us. So that is something I'm doing right now. Another topic is I'm working on migraine caps, an alternative to the medicines we take for migraines. So that is another. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you. Do you guys see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, my topic is application of mulberry for the production of biodegradable surgical mask. So what I wanted to do was to produce or to go for option for such masks that can be biodegradable, that can decompose, and those masks that we are seeing in the market that are actually causing more pollution rather than keeping us from this pandemic and all that stuff. It is actually okay. So so the introduction is basically global on average 89 million face masks are used. It is basically a research-based presentation. So actually I went through different papers and I got to know that there were a lot of pollutions that we saw from surgical masks that are being decomposed, that are not actually being decomposed, but that are adding pollution to the earth. So the demand is estimated to further increase with the proliferation of the disease. The disposable surgical masks are made up of polymeric materials. These materials are basically polyester made. Some of them, they include polyester, polycarbonate, polyurethane, polystyrene, polypropylene, and polyacrylonitrile or polyethylene. Keeping in view that these components cannot be decomposed in the soil. So what they do is they are adding pollutant to the textile products because they are mesh and they are produced from the textiles. Okay, contemporary usage of mulberry in different sectors. Mulberry is not something new to us. That is something that has been used around 8000 BC in China. That was introduced in China and in the Middle East. And at the same time, flex fibers were used. They are around 3000 BC old and around 650 BC. So flex fibers based clothing were used for burial purposes of the Babylonians. Paper mulberry at that time was also used on an industrial and agriculture products, but also they were used as an animal feed. Paper mulberry is widely used for making paper, that we all know. That South Korea is basically very famous for using paper mulberry, and China, that is one of the first producers. Paper made of paper mulberry are widely used to style galore, for instance, decoration production, packaging, office equipment, book covers, Latin and paper fabrics. Okay, another important of application of paper mulberry is in silk manufacture. Apart from that, people from the era at that time, people were using in Africa specifically, they were using bark cloths. They were using the bark of this paper mulberry and they were making cloth of it, but due to its filament structure, it was not that successful. The other form was itself manufactured. As we all know, the silk worms, they make silk from paper mulberry, and Pakistan has this Pakistan is during 1950, they have made Islamabad and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. They have actually produced a lot of trees over here to make paper, to make mulberry for the silk worm. And there's this Brosonatia pepperifera, that is a very special tree that we can make silk from. Okay, structural component of paper mulberry. Paper mulberry plant basically consists of bark and wood xylem. Beneath the outer bark lie the plant fibers. They are very much similar to cotton fibers, like it has lignin, cellulose, wax, and hemicellulose. The fibers having gum content and short fiber length exhibit low cohesive force and high young modules, thus making it difficult to blend with other plant fibers. For that purpose, they use, there's this bacteria that they incorporate so that its gum quality can be refined in a much good form. And then because of its, short length, it is not suggested to use it in fibers. Rather than it can be made into papers because it has a very good property of, making a mesh out of it. The mulberry pulp and the tree fiber are generally used in paper making. It was observed through a research that the fiber obtained from the mulberry bark had high hemicellulose, that was 1.5% content, and it has a very good finish and has desired microbial properties. Because of these properties, I came up to the idea of making surgical mask because one, it is biodegradable. Second, it has antimicrobial properties. And second, it has a very good hemicellulose content. So different fabrics used in healthcare settings, different type of fibers that have antifungal as well as antimicrobial fibers. Fibers used in medical textile are classified into different categories based on what they are, synthetic or eco-friendly. Okay, the mesh of paper mulberry is biodegradable and therefore it could be used in the production of disposable medical goods. Disposable surgical masks. DSM are the composed of polymeric materials. Basically, the surgical mask, they are non-woven and they have very good water-resistant property. There are 3 layers that they are made up of, and they are soft, breathable, fit to face. They are non-woven fabric. Okay. The research gap that I found in the market before starting this product was, it was observed through the research that fibers obtained from mulberry bark had high hemicellulose 1.5 content, exhibiting good finish and had desired antimicrobial properties. The mulberry tree fiber are used in various products such as paper making, but due to their high gum content and short fiber length, the application in the textile industry is not much practiced so far, and it is very limited. And the problem that I faced, the problem statement was literature reviews have highlighted that fibers of mulberry trees have a potential in medical textiles due to their antimicrobial properties and its biodegradability. These characteristics provide new avenues for further research. The ample obtainability and convenience of plant fiber are the key factors for developing new interest regarding the medical textiles. Furthermore, it has been reported by the WHO that globally an average of 89 million surgical masks are used to prevent COVID each month, and the demand is expected to increase with time. Moreover, the profuse consumption of DSM globally has created a new environmental pollution hazard, and these masks are made of polymeric material. what is the aim and objective of my research? To analyze the benefits of using eco-friendly paper mulberry in healthcare sector, to evaluate the experiment and the antibacterial property of mulberry and fiber properties, the effectiveness, its utilization, and producing eco-friendly friendly disposable surgical masks, and to produce eco-friendly textiles, medical textiles. Okay, the equipment that would be using would be electrospinning apparatus for filter manufacturing, automated filter machine to measure the filtration performance of the filter, scanning electron microscope that is used to measure the pore size of the filter. The method would be the electrospinning method is used to generate a non-woven web of micro or nanofibers. In this method, high voltage electricity is applied to the liquid solution and collector that lets the solution extrude from nozzle, forming a jet. The jet form fibers during drying and deposit these on the collector. Then electrospinning is simple and versatile method to preparation of micro and nanopolymer fiber, and that is a very basic method. The significance of this study is that there are numerous features that mark paper mulberry as an exceptional applicant for further investigation as a commercial commensable species. The production of biodegradable surgical mask will aid in keeping the environment clean and reduce the polymeric waste and pollution load, thus providing a better environment to terrestrial as well as aquatic life. Thank you. Any question would be highly regarded.
I
I
have a
think,
question.
sorry.
Can I, sorry. So Maham, how far are you in this research right now?
I've done my synopsis and all that. I'm just about to do the testing and experimentation and, taking the filaments out and then just go for the testing and go for, doing what comes after and how effective this is going to be in the future. So all that is left.
And do you know of anybody else, and I'm not talking about Pakistan, but internationally, who might be experimenting in the same field or coming up with?
Up till now, nobody has. But since the sustainability, this word has spread so much in the, world, so people are coming up with different ideas. People are coming up with, how to stop surgical mask. People are going for alternative solutions, basically. So people are coming up with ideas, but up till now, nobody has done a research on surgical mask and how, a combination of paper mulberry and surgical mask will go along. People haven't come up with that idea, but yes, people are coming up with alternative solution to other medical textiles and going for, more informative approach in that field. And yes, more researches are going on these days.
I think it's fabulous, and I think you should take it
Thank
all the
you.
way because it's bound to succeed, mashallah. It's really, really good. And it's
Thank
the need of the hour, really. We need that.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
I think, yeah, from my end, I think it's a very impressive work. And my only question to you is, do you guys have access to scanning electron microscope to look at the fibers?
Yes, because we have access to this university, NTU. And
Okay.
That is basically, it's National Textile University, and it's all about experimentation and testing on different fibers. And they have latest machinery available that they are actually competing with the world. So they have all those necessary machineries, and they, they welcome you guys to experiment, explore, and create new materials for the upcoming market. So yes, we have that.
That's
That
great.
is
Yeah,
why
no,
actually I went to.
yeah, it's a great initiative, and yes, good luck on
Thank
your
you,
work.
sir.
So yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Maham, I want to make a comment and I want to give you a suggestion. I just wanted to know because since COVID, masks have become a very important part of our lives, not just all over the world. Like everyone needs masks, and even people in Europe have started considering that they should, make masks a proper component of their lives, even after, COVID has gone away. Because there have been scientific studies going on which say that even, wearing the mask, it's saving you from many viral diseases, which, you can catch very easily, like cold or flu, etc. So do you plan to pitch your research, when we're done with it, to any pharmaceutical company or whoever is making these masks, because I think it's very important if we can bring a material which is maybe more sustainable and doesn't cost much. So it's also going to in a way improve or help out the industry, while it's going to in a way affect our lives, and it's going to made some positive role into our lives.
Exactly, Naima. One of the main thing that why I chose this topic was that the bark of the tree from which this filaments are achieved is easily available in Islamabad. And they have a huge area covering Islamabad and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So what not only that I wanted an alternative solution for the medical textiles, but also I wanted to make it approachable and easily available for a common man. So my next aim is to make it cheap, and like those masks that are very much, for me, they are expensive, because we need to, if we say that we need to have them on a daily basis, then we need to spend a lot of money for that. So I want to make it easily accessible for the common man, as well as I want to make something that is new for the medical field. So that, yes, I will be approaching my consumers and my target market and my the persons related to the field only if it is made and it is successful, which I believe it will be. After that, yes, I will be.
Okay, Maham, I just want to make a comment that really I'm interested to see a very cheap, a very low price mask, because I always use cotton masks because I cannot use those 20 rupees masks that is made up of synthetic material that gives rashes on my skin. So I have to buy khadi or cotton masks that are expensive, 300 rupees, and we waste or we throw those masks. So I'm really waiting to.
So you will be my first customer then.
Yeah, I'll be if you will sell it for cheap prices.
That'll be free for you, because I need to do my research also.
Just on my skin. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Anyone else? If anyone else want to ask any question from speakers or from listeners? Okay. Thank you. So we will proceed with the next presentation. I would like to invite Ms. Nida Malik. She is an educationist, researcher, and a print designer, and she is also teaching at National College of Arts. The topic is bamboo fiber and its prospects in Pakistani and its prospects.
Okay, thank you very much, Madhya. As delightful as these conversations are, I'll give a little background on myself. So I graduated from Iqra University, Islamabad in 2011, and I've been associate with the social development sector after since. I've been associated to Lok Virsa, and most of the interest area that I've had is conservation and basically culture and philosophy. So when I was invited for this wonderful evening, a gathering of conversation on sustainability, I went back to my HOD, ma'am Madhya Ahmed Khan, and I said, ma'am, mera to is topic mein koi na kaam hai na interest hai. But as always, her concern was like, you have to start somewhere. So coming back to the presentation, jo ma'am aapki thi of your artwork, I'd like to have a conversation of on the piece that you named Surrender, because that related to me on a very you can say probably on a personal level, sustenance wise, or creative blocks wise, because right now in my research that is the biggest thing that is happening to me, because I'm doing research on places where it is a one-way conversation. My subjects are one-way conversation. On a lighter note, the one that you had made on your sister, since I am a younger sister of a lot of sisters, मैं एक artist response उस पे लिखना चाहती हूँ, but not now, from maybe in 10 years. So one thing I'd like to ask is if that's your younger sister.
No, she's the one immediately elder to me. I'm the youngest in all my siblings.
Okay, hence I associate with that
Why?
painting.
This is, I'm curious now. Why?
Hence I associate with that painting. So somewhere if we would like to connect to that work of yours, to the end of the session, please batayega. So I come from South Punjab. And while this research is going on, and I'm doing my master's, and I hope to one day specialize in educational psychology. I wanted to understand कि मैं अपने आप को कैसे push कर सकती हूँ into participating into this conversation of sustainability जो कि दुनिया में चल रही है. So I have considered going into spaces that are mine. Now coming from South Punjab, और जो ideas मुझे वहां से मिले, उसमें मुझे ये समझ आई कि कुछ ऐसा हिस्सा है जहाँ पे मैंने टच ही नहीं किया आज तक. And that particularly is the cultivations जिनके अंदर से हमारे पास multiple fibers आते हैं. So my my brilliant colleagues over here, Sanya and Maham, they're into their craft and they're working hard. So मैंने कुछ basic information निकाल के पिछले 6 महीनों में एक experiment किया, and I'd like to share with you a bit. I hope you guys can see my screen.
Not yet. Yes.
What about now?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
visible.
So thank you. Okay. So for me, to be very honest, when I came across another researcher at BNU's work, Sir Imran Ahmed Khan, जब मैंने उनके काम में स्कल्पचर में sustainability का concept देखा, and that was the first time I got to know, and I was encouraged into this, and it was his idea that I should go back to my roots and probably figure out something, and then he decided to have this conversation with me. So उसमें से कुछ crux निकाल के हम यहाँ पर लाए हैं. I just quickly need to just somehow be able to move this. So a bit about my philosophy of how I look at art and how I'd like to practice it in the future. Creative consultancy in art education के ऊपर बेस करके philosophy का जो interest मेरा बना है, उसमें as per my discovery sustainability define आज की दुनिया में की जा रही है इन 4 areas में. So hence when I went ahead to find out my sort of sustainability, any concept, whether it's scientific discovery, whether it's craft, discovery of craft or conservation of craft, I need to find an area of sustainability that can interest me. And right now, ये जो 4 definitions or 4 terminologies हम आपके सामने लेके आए हैं, इसमें my favorite area is social sustainability. But being a textile designer, what I learned is I need to always be able to go through the intertwining parts of these 4. So for those of you who have their interest in philosophy, I think I would suggest कि आप लोग social sustainability के ऊपर थोड़ा सा अगर read करेंगे, you'll understand why someone with no interest in the topic would want to continue to keep working on it. So I discovered that in Pakistan, there is 78% of cultivated bamboo is yet not brought into any kind of use. So on this topic, I collaborated with a student of mine, and I ended up encouraging her to work for her materials and techniques based work. As you know, I became the facilitator and she became the procurer person. And then we came up with a few materials, जिसके base के ऊपर I can share a bit of information. So what I'm going to be looking at is the kind of species that we have and the kind of properties जो हमारे पास different areas के अंदर हैं. And उसके बाद उसकी basic treatment कैसे आप घरों में कर सकते हैं. How can this be a cottage industry? So I'm so sorry, this keeps sliding back. So if you could roughly look at the map over here, दुनिया में this information is, as I'm researching on this is growing. कोई 1500 से exceed कर चुकी हैं, but the rough idea according to the research says that there are 15 to 1600 kind of species of bamboo. Now coming back to Pakistan, when I discovered कि Pakistan में तो कोई 3-4 किस्म की होती हैं, I later on got into the structure of that bamboo. And since I belong to Hanewal, वहाँ से मैंने कुछ samples मंगवाना शुरू किए उस बच्ची के लिए. And I discovered कि जो सबसे robust nature का cellulose होता है, that is basically found in South Punjab. So that is where my this venture of mine started. But coming back to the resistance, this is a topic that I kept losing my interest in, and I had to push myself into this direction. So a little philosophy that I taught myself, this came across to me, and I went back into my into my materiality of being more than a teacher and a facilitator. So I understood कि ये religious context में भी इस practice को लेके जाया जा सकता है, इसको cultural practice में लेके जाया जा सकता है. Between that back and forth, when I was working on this with my student, this is what she sent to me, and she said, ma'am, philosophy wise and as an artist, this is an area जो कि मुझे समझ आता है that bamboo isn't a weed, it is a flowering plant, and bamboo is a magnificent plant. And I thought about this for like approximately a week to understand कि हम ये काम कर क्यों रहे हैं. वो मैं आपको from end of the conversation I'll explain this to you why. So now when we are able to go into South Punjab, the first thing that हम face करते हैं, that is resistance. और resistance को खत्म करने के बाद जब हम procurement की resistance हमारे पास आती है, तो जब resistance को खत्म करने के बाद finally we have reached to the point where we could discover the samples and we could go ahead and send them to lab testing. Right now we're in the process of getting them getting them completely tested. The samples हमने बनाए हैं उनको. Some of the properties is the most the most interesting जो हमारे South Punjab के bamboo से extract होती है, जो मेरे लिए सबसे interesting थी, that it has ultraviolet protection. So no need for sunblocks probably. So that is half the plastic waste on sunblocks. So basically it's materiality as shield. Now, if you go into details of the structure of the cellulose, the highest content of this ultraviolet property come into the hem cellulose. You have like classifications, mainly 5 classifications के अंदर से जो ultraviolet protection provide करने वाला धागा या fiber निकलता है, वो hem cellulose में से निकलता है. So I believe that this is another kind of skincare industry जो कि through textiles हम approach कर सकते हैं, but due to bureaucratic weight, we're still not able to. I hope and pray that I am able to, and we are able to, and I would like to collaborate with a few of you over here in the future for this as well. So coming to how me and my student as a team, we collaborated to come up with samples. So this is a very, very basic, simple kind of procedure. अगर हम इसको पाकिस्तान में जिन areas में bamboo आता है, अगर हम वहाँ पे इस चीज की practice as cottage industry करना शुरू कर दें, so it can be a very, very sustainability can be about, it can be about economic stability and economic sustainability as we have the conversation. Now you might be thinking, why am I saying this? Because जिन areas में ये growth ज़्यादातर है ना, वहाँ पे आपके पास engineering accesses नहीं है. So these are the simple processes that are cottage based practices that you can do very, very easily at home, and you can engage people from your environment. So the next part of this this practice is going into that hopefully, inshallah, in the future, as that student proceeds to her thesis as this concept. So basically, the enzyme process, out of curiosity, as all of us are artists, is basically simply just up sodium chloride, या जिसको हम आम ज़बान में कास्टिक सोडा कहते हैं, हम दरख्त की छाल से या बैम्बू की छाल के साथ उसको प्रोसेस करके for 15 to 20 days छोड़ देते हैं, तो हमारे पास उसका फाइबर आना शुरू हो जाता है. If you could see at image 1, that fiber has been extracted. And once this is extracted, we've tried to give it two different kind of sampling हमने इसकी की है, and we got it spun into thread so that we can come up with actual fabric samples. Fortunately, some of them are successful and some of them are unsuccessful, and some of them are still in testing. But my point of this whole, some of this work, then she's proceeded as a mini thesis, and it is yet to go into the final thesis. Now what we're looking at right now is to take it for more than just artistic work of crochet and some kind of capability, जो सिर्फ artistic capability को दिखाए. We're looking at industrial manufacturing of this sort. So जो सबसे बड़ा resistance हम feel करते हैं is the areas जहाँ पे ये इसकी growth सबसे ज़्यादा है. So starting from South Punjab, I've taken this initiative, and I think I'm going to end up collaborating very soon with Sanya. Hopefully she would want to.
Definitely. Oh, sorry, I was mute. I was like, definitely.
Okay,
Actually, we both go together to Maham for testing. NTU would help us.
So Nida, are you done with your presentation?
I am, absolutely. If anybody has any questions, so add more.
Yes, ma'am, Malia, if you have any questions.
I don't know if it's a question or if it's a statement. Anita, I own a pair of socks that are made of bamboo fiber, right? I remember I got them a couple of years back. I got them from London, and there was a whole rack in one of the stores that was made up of socks. There was nothing else there. It was just, and they were all made of bamboo thread, a thread made from bamboo fiber or whatever you want to call it. Extremely and immensely soft, very comfortable, soft. When you started talking, so mera dhyan udhar chala gaya, okay, this, I have not seen it, and I'm a frequent traveler. I mean, I just came back last week after my visit there again. I haven't seen any of that kind of stuff again. And I was just wondering whatever happened, what must have happened for them to maybe stop the manufacture, or maybe, and what I don't remember is that I don't have the label on that anymore. So I don't know where it was made. Was it China or was it European? It can't be European because Europe mein to bamboo nahi hota, but Far East ka hi koi kuch hoga na? Area jahan pe maybe I don't know. I don't remember.
Probably it would be mostly, if you got it 10 years ago, to Indonesia ya Bangladesh se aaya hoga. Probably. This is
India as well. From India as well, because India is also working on bamboo.
I do not, as a rule, buy anything made in India. So I would not have bought those socks if it had been made. Sorry, that's the way I am.
Agreed.
Very impressive.
Okay.
But the thing is, maybe if you did a little bit of research on that score and tried to find out which area in the world is actually doing this. They were just so soft. I bought them because of the way they felt, and for no other reason, and very finely made as well. So I don't know, ye jo aapka jo fiber hai, jaise ye crochet aapne kiya hua hai and everything, what does it feel like? What are the properties of that thread?
इसकी जो sensory touch properties है ना, they are okay. So I have suggested, since I have experienced a few patients with bed sores, इसकी bed sheets जो हैं, they are highly suggested in medical textiles, and this is another latest discovery for myself as well. Coming back to your question, this is mostly the fiber is mostly obtained in Indonesia, as you said, the Far East, and Bangladesh, and obviously manufacturing में India बहुत आगे है इसमें. The issue with Pakistan is due to the, okay, I'm going to put it in very सादे अल्फाज. जिन लोगों की जमीनों पे ये है ना, उनको कपास ज्यादा बेहतर खपती है, उनको ज्यादा बेहतर profits आते हैं from other things. So they do not feel the need as yet. We could be a lead manufacturer as India or as Bangladesh, but the reason behind this is, just for example, there is another student of mine who is from South Punjab, similar area of mine, the Saraiki Patti. He could have procured these things very easily, whereas there was another student of mine who was from South Sindh. So she needed banana fiber, and she got it from it because uske upar ki bureaucratic weight nahi tha. My focus right now, since I come from the social development sector, is obtaining of the ideas जो confine किए गए हैं. Since my previous work is in conservation of craft in the flood affected areas, so this is how my concept of sustainability proceeds. I don't know where it would be in the next 5 years, 2 years, or 3 years. I don't know if I'm ending up working in Sania's lab. So that is thoroughly, but yes, the problematic area is that we need to basically have more access to this material as it is. So yeah.
Actually, I would like to add over here, like जैसे नेता ने हमें वो बनाना फैब्रिक की बात बताई और जिस तरह वो जमींदारों की बात आ रही थी, so basically it was like when we asked someone कि हमें, because from where we got the banana fiber, it's basically trunk, and that's completely waste because no new fruit could be like grown out of it. It's just a trunk and it's going to be thrown out or इधर उधर. उसमें से फाइबर निकलता है. बट व्हेन वी लाइक आस्क समवन जो वहाँ की जमीन के थे कि हमें ये चाहिए, तो और वो एक ट्रैश था उनके लिए, लाइक एंड दे वर अबाउट टू डिस्पोज इट ऑफ. बट जैसे ही उन्होंने देखा इट समवन इज इंटरेस्टेड इन इट, so they asked us for, like, it was around, if I'm not wrong, it was around 5 feet long, just one trunk, and that man asked 10,000 rupees. I was like, why? Like, it's just a waste of money. Like, ये तुम्हें फेंकने जा रहे थे और मुझे दे दोगे तो 10,000 क्यों दूं मैं इस बात के लिए? Because in Pakistan the mindset is about money. They are not ready for change or for the development. That's why I said we need to aware our consumers, like how this is going to be used. And from last 1.5 years, I have seen bamboos, cutlery and plates as well. But people are not like using it, and people like, oh, ये तो इतना खराब सा है, ये क्या, इसका हम कहाँ से करेंगे? It's not made of glass, it's not made up of plastic, and it's not something from XYZ brand, because I'm sorry, I can't remember any brand. So we have to change the mindset of the people actually. So this is how it's going to be change the sustainability of Pakistan actually.
I think here we go back to the idea of resistance, because whenever we want to contribute something to the society, to the environment, you always face resistance. So resistance is again that evil element. It stops us from doing something, to contributing something positive to the society. And when I'm going to even talk about my research, so in my field, sustainability, especially in Pakistan, is not something which is really talked about. So again, the idea of resistance, as Sania and Nida are talking about, we go back to it again.
So it's not like bamboo, textiles made of bamboo are new to the world. It's already been done, it's out there. You know, it's just a matter of you exploring the market and seeing what it is that you can do, which is going to add to the already existing situation. So
exactly, as Maham said, it's for me, it's going back, and as an art educator, it's an area जहाँ पे देखिए हमारे पास जो बच्चे आते हैं ना all over Pakistan से while teaching at NCA. So not all of them are IB O levels graduates. They want to go back to who they are. अभी
Yes.
एक स्टूडेंट है हमारे पास 3rd year में, मैम मदिया is supervising her. She's from Karak. So she right now ideation में as a team हमें भी challenge आ रहा है because she wants to work on वो जो करक में बनती हैं baskets हाथ की बुनाई की. So our state of mind is, you know, basically हमें ये अभी तक समझ आया कि हम अगर उसको वो काम करने देंगे ना as designers जो उसके दादी और नानी का craft था, so वहां से उसकी genetic innovation शायद शुरू होगी. So probably हम अभी, you know, I think we all need to get out of that bureaucratic weight. और जो हमारी you know हमारी state of mind पे गोरे की छवि अभी तक रह गई हुई है, उससे हम बाहर निकलेंगे तो हम इन materials को discover करेंगे. This is my point of view. I mean, I would love if anybody has a different perspective to it that would add to my knowledge.
No, perfectly. I mean, I agree 100%. Yeah, we need to go there. We need to go down that road. Yeah.
So
Yeah, actually, we need to do design intervention. I actually designed this conference because I know there is a need to talk about these things because हम जो है imaginations पे तो बात करते हैं, but Pakistan needs to go back to its roots जो हम थे in 90s and 70s. So we want to we have to progress. So we need to focus on these things, on sustainabilities of ideas, sustainability of materials. So we need to focus on that. And in that, due to that reason, I thought that it's a need to start this kind of presentation.
And Nida, another thing that you said with your bamboo fiber, you said it about the patients, about working with patients who were bedridden.
So again, this hits hard at home. My mother is a bedridden patient, and जब मैं उनकी bedridden sores को deal कर रही थी, so there are एक तो जो mulberry के trees हैं, so मैंने शाहतूत की छाल भी इस्तेमाल की हुई है. Then एक और पत्ता मैंने discover किया था that is very effective as an antiseptic. उसको कहते हैं सुमलू. So all of the things that have come across in my practice, and then bamboo, I actually ended up ordering bed sheets and breathable blankets for my mother from Amazon, and they were shipped to me from the US to Pakistan, made in Bangladesh, where my bamboo is being on the lands of people who own the land. So it's just a thought.
Exactly.
So, you know, if since my area is social and cultural of social and cultural interest, I think we need to have artists and people who at least go and discover कि किस area में क्या है, so that people like Sanya and people like Maham can actually go. So this is another kind of, you know, they can go ahead and multiply it into product line. So
and then in time, maybe you can cut across that bureaucratic red tape BS and
we're trying.
Yeah, and find somebody who will maybe cultivate bamboo separately just for this reason, you know.
Okay, we thought about that. And at a stage at an NGO, I came up with a business development plan as well with a team of very well. अभी जितना हमारे पास हमारे रकबे पे जितनी cultivation है ना, I think that needs to go under production. We do not know, that's what I can share that map with you, uski percentages. We do not need more and more cultivation as yet.
Achha.
अभी जो हमारे पास है वो इस्तेमाल में ही नहीं आया हुआ.
Okay. Okay.
So the problematic, जैसे हमारा डैम नहीं बना हुआ तो हमारा पानी बह जाता है ना समंदर में, इसी तरह हमारा बैम्बू भी ज़ाया हो रहा है. You know, I have bamboo furniture जो मेरे parents
I'm sorry to interrupt you people because I think we can
go on
carry on with the discussions on and on. So we will keep these discussions at the end so that other participants may share their knowledge with us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So we would like to proceed towards another speaker, Mrs. Amna Shehryar Khan. She's an educationist and merchandiser and print designer as well. Her topic is neologism of sustainability. So Amna, you can start. Your screen is shared. Thank you.
Amna, you are mute.
Amna,
All
you
right.
have 1 minute.
Yeah, am I audible now? Am I audible to everybody?
Yes, yes.
All right, wonderful. Thank you and pardon me for that. Assalamu alaikum, mera naam Amina Shahriyar Khan hai. A very warm evening to all of you. I'm a textile artist. I graduated from Karachi, and after that I've been working in the field of textile industries for the past 7-8 years, and sharing this distinguished space with such eminent artists and professionals is totally a delight. Ma'am Malia, you are such a big inspiration, and looking at your work of art is such a soulful experience. One of your paintings are just stuck with me for life now, I believe so. So since we are short of time, so inshallah, some other platform or some other time, we'll definitely discuss it. With all the participants sharing their research work is such a big inspiration and motivation for me, because I am at that particular stage in my life when I'm about to take up my master's program. So this is quite inspiring with all the exciting, innovative work that people are actually doing towards contributing in the field of stability. So looking at the theme, when Madhya told me about this online presentation forum, I had a little different take to the concept of sustainability. And for me, it was very important to have a more philosophical angle to it. I wanted to discuss that since as a nation, we don't talk too much, we don't interact much, we largely miss out on the fact that conversation and communication should be of prime importance. So that is why I ended up choosing a neologism of sustainability. So I'm going to start with my presentation now. Language, which is undoubtedly one of the most fundamental and significant approaches and tools to communicate, interact, share our feelings, understand logic, comprehend ideas, has been ever evolving with the passage of time, especially with the changing world scenarios. So the most active development of language has always been in the field of vocabulary, and that has obviously drastically changed over the period of time. So neologism itself, is derived and borrowed from basically two different languages. The Englishmen in the 19th century found out about this word in France, and it actually originates from the language of, from Greek language. It is the coining of two words, which means neo, which is new, and logo, which is meant by, which means word or speech. So that is how the word actually was invented, the word neologism, and it has a very diverse meaning to itself. For example, it is simply a word that has been newly invented. It also means any two words derived from any two different languages that have been coined together. It also means any old word that is a part of our vocabulary and language system that has a new concept now, that has a new ideology now. So obviously, technology plays a very big role in coining terms and new terminologies into our language. And some commonly heard examples that of neologism basically that has been integrated into our language system, for example, is a webinar. That's a very common term, all thanks to the period of COVID that we have all lived and survived. All the seminars were then taken online. So webinar basically is the coining of two words, which means seminar on the internet. Then we have another interesting word called sci-fi, which is scientific fiction. Then we have another interesting neologism that goes by the word of Oxbridge. So basically it was first heard in the literary circles of the 19th century, but now it simply means Oxford and Cambridge, which are two very distinguished institutes. So it's a short form of that, Oxbridge. Again, we hear a lot about being workaholic. So holic is basically addiction of anything. And if you have an addiction of work, it's called workaholic. So all these terms and technologies obviously could flourish only under the rule of internet, because it absolutely revolutionized the way people were thinking, acting, and they were living their lives. So this actually provided a nesting ground for all kind of psychologies to consider humans as the inhabitants of one singular unit or one singular planet. And basically the factor of globalization has played a very significant and a stimulus role in unifying all the countries of the world, irrespective of their boundaries, irrespective of what culture and what tradition do they belong to. They are now declared as citizens of the planet simply. And citizens of the planet now share mutual problems, they share mutual delights, their concerns, and interestingly, the language is becoming one singular unit as well. When we particularly talk about sustainability, it is the concept of striking a balance, basically. Now, a balance in which the environment is not compromised, a balance in which the human ethics or the human rights are not, in the dark anywhere. So, talking of all the mutual concerns of the world now, at the turn of the 20th century, the problem of environmental pollution and endangered resources of the planet, we basically call it because of all those vanguard movements of technological developments and industrial revolutions. So all the natural components of the environment, of our biodiversity, they endured a significant change, and because of all the factors that were disturbing the sustainable environment of our planet. So it was not just the pollution, but it was also the current way of life, our desires to live a life in a certain way. Now it has totally compromised our ecosystem now. And with all the industrial waste, the hazardous chemicals that are acting, that actually are contributing tremendously to the bad air, land, and sea pollution, water pollution. And then after that, deforestation, as we all know, plays a very chronic role in the climate shift. It contributes highly towards land corrosions as well. And this is something that we have recently witnessed in the climate of Pakistan now. So to connect basically all these phenomena to the sense of sustainability, the artistic segment of the society, was mobilized in terms of sustainability and environmental art during the 1960s in the West. So this was when they were actually they started getting aware of the fact that how endangered the biodiversity could be, and that's how they were familiarized with the concept. And a lot of literary movements were basically started there in the West, and that's how they got to know about the devastating effects of chemicals being used as pesticides, messing up with the food chain system, and then the air pollution, which was happening because of all sorts of transportation, the oil spills, and then the atomic radio waste, which was being dumped in the oceans. So several group of artists basically promoted environmental activism, which was based on art, and they highly criticized the social behaviors and the consumption patterns of the society. Some of the noteworthy art movements at that particular time were arte povera, land art, earth art, and recycling art that is still pretty much relevant in today's world. So with the rise of the art of sustainability, a new term was coined in our world, that encompassed all of these art movements, which was known as green art. So basically, green art was the practice of being environment friendly, usage of non-toxic and natural materials. For example, tapestry or textile artists use natural fibers, as we have recently witnessed the research work of all those exciting professionals who are in the middle of their research. So textile artists, they're trying to use natural fibers. They exhibit their work in a natural setting, using the ecological themes, while obviously painters are promoting the sensitive parts about how our biodiversity is being compromised by using organic and recyclable materials as well. So green art also questions our living styles. It questions our living standards, questions the consumption processes that we are actually, consuming these days. So this is a combination of art and environmental activism has become even more impressive because it communicates messages. It has become a part of the solution as well. It's proposing solutions actually, which has a direct impact on the public life. So all the artistic movements have developed their own set of languages again, and the elements that effectively communicate the severity of the issue and the concerns that are directly related to the state of the society. So many companies have started using and coining the terms such as green art. Anything that is related to green has a new meaning now, means it's not endangering to the environment. And few of the interesting neologism that is related to sustainability is, for example, a lot of companies are now selling green products obviously that have been made without compromising the natural resources or that they have not been mercilessly used. So that's called green tailing, which simply is a blending of green retailing. So that is a new concept, that is a new word. Then we have a lot of prefix that has been added to the whole word of ecology. So ecology basically is the study in which we learn about how the species of the planet are actually living together in an environment. So when we talk about being eco-friendly, it means that it is not harmless to the society. We say it's an eco-friendly work, or it's an eco-friendly piece of art, or an eco-friendly garment. When we talk about eco-terrorism, it means something which is destructive to the environment. We can say that this was an act of eco-terrorism by any celebrity or any particular prominent figure or personality. When we talk about being eco-freak, it is something, someone who has great concerns for the environment. When we talk about ecotage, it means any direct action that has been taken to stop the exploitation of environment. Interestingly, there's another new term called monkey wrencher. It has an interesting meaning. It means some environmental activist who's motivated to sabotage anything harming the natural environment. We have another interesting neologism that goes by the word of solastalgia. So it is the desire to visit places which are actually about to be affected due to the climate change. When we talk about biophilic life, it is basically the concept that promotes a love and care for the natural environment. This is something that is very very commonly witnessed in our local architecture design these days as well, be it residential or commercial. There's a lot of use of biophilic ideas in our architecture as well. So when we talk about climate, sci-fi, it tells us about the climate fiction. Nobody can forget 2012, the movie that gave us shivers down our spine, how the world is going to end, what's going to happen, and it was absolutely terrifying. So when we move forward to our particular field, neologism has also played its magic in the field of fashion as well, which is, by the way, the second most polluting industry of the world due to fast fashion. It all started in 1990s, and it has gravely contributed towards climate pollution and environmental endangerment. So basically, there are certain interesting words that have been coined together. Some of them have been a compound word. Some of them have been restructured into a new meaning and a new concept. For example, if we say that somebody is a glamazon, it means a fashion savvy person, who's always following fashion's latest trends, and they dress up according to the latest fashion trends. When we talk about bum bag, it is actually a small bag worn on the waist, which is, makes your work comfortable enough. It's also called a fanny pack. When we talk about onesies or cat suits, they are basically the garment that covers your torsos and legs, in a loose fashion. When we talk about bandals, there are shoes which are made by combining boots and sandals together. The concept of boots and sandals come up with bandals. When we talk about burkinis, they are the swimsuits that covers the whole body, Sharia compliant. And when we talk about spatik, it's an interesting word. It's like it's a space which has a spa, but it is also offering a lot of fashion products that you can buy from that particular space as well. The facility of a spa and a fashion boutique, have been coined together, and it's called a spatik now. Shoots is again an interesting neologism, which tells us that shoes combined with boots have become shoots now. So the term is made by a compound word, which is shoes and boots. When we talk about mandals, they are open-toed shoes that are more formal in structure than flip-flops. They are called man sandals. So man and sandals have coined together as being mandals. So why, I was inclined towards talking about neologism, and especially in the field of sustainability. Basically, there are multiple detailed curriculums that the education institutes are offering these days. But it's not still making an impact when we talk about sustainability, because it has started being in practice, but our students are actually not aware of the lingual power or the lingual library of actually expressing themselves, that what are they trying to say. Because obviously with the passage of time, this gap comes in when the technology is progressing multifolds, and somehow we don't update ourselves with the new terms and with the new definitions and the new terminologies that are a part of our evolution. So this is where neologism comes in. It will help to deliver the message, since it has a wider acceptance among the new generation. So academia does not only needs to implant and implement it as a formal part of the curriculum, but we are also hoping that the message of sustainability will be easily delivered. It will be easily understood if we are using the right words and right terms in explaining to our students. So these practices can be implemented throughout the industries as well, so that the students can, whenever they step into their professional life, they are already sensitized about the environmental hazards that are that are caused, for the past so many years, and they're already aware, they're already concerned, and they are already, willing to do something about it. So as far as the current industry is concerned, workshops can be arranged, seminars can be held to conduct the awareness of sustainability, and it must include the neologism of sustainability as well, because it's important. And by any wishful thinking, the government can also be engaged to devise policies on sustainability that we barely lack, because there's so much research being going on, but without the government patroning all these research works, without supporting all these young dynamic professionals who are ready to make a change for the betterment of the public, for the betterment of humanity, and for the betterment of the planet as a whole, it is very important that certain policies should be made on government level. And hopefully we'll be able to leave a better planet for our future generations if we'll bring sustainability, the ideas, the concepts, the ideologies, and the neologism that is involved into it as a normal practice in our lives and in the academic practices as well. So that's my 2 bits of contribution to the concept of sustainability. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amina, for sharing your views. And this was really a wonderful presentation that you focused on both art and design concept. So it was a wonderful merger and a concept. So I would like Ma'am Maliha to share her views and comments.
Oh, I have no questions as such, but I'm very, very grateful to Amna, excuse me, for picking up this word, because it was nowhere in my vocabulary, and now I can throw it around. Now I know what it means. So thank you for that. It's a new one.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was the only reason I found it very attractive, because as I've discussed it earlier as well, as a society, we don't speak much. We don't communicate. And as artists, it's very important that you deliver your ideas, you are self-explanatory, and you're using the right terms. जैसे दुख होता है, अभी तक बहुत सारे students कहते हैं jeans की pant. So that is not jeans, that is actually denim. So it's very important that our students are fully equipped to express their work as well, because वो बहुत amazing artwork कर रहे हैं, research बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं, they're dynamic students. But when they fail in explaining what their work, they fail to explain the idea behind it. They don't use the right terms and terminologies, and their linguistic skills are limited. That's really shattering for us. So I think that being artists, it's also very important that you explain your work properly and formally as well. So that was the whole idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think that jeans ki pant business is, of course, because they don't read and therefore they don't know any better. But it's also, through the ages or through the decades, you're very young, so I don't know, but one of the most famous brands of nail polish was Q-Tex. And my generation of women actually still call nail polish Q-Tex. It can be any brand. It can be Revlon or L'Oreal or this or that, but it will still be Q-Tex. And in the same way, there's that vacuum cleaner, which was, I think, invented in the 1950s, if I'm not mistaken, maybe earlier, I don't know, Hoover. So, women from my generation still go into stores and say, Hoover hai? What they mean is, do you have a vacuum cleaner? So jeans ki pant is, again, that problem.
Ma'am, I definitely agree, but I also feel this dire need of updating ourselves, where the world is going, because that's how we'll bridge the gap between the generations. So
That
it's always exciting to fit into the form of new vocabularies or to actually research what's going on, because the research angle, especially in Pakistan, I find it as something is very weak about research. For that sake, we always look towards the West, because that's where the research is happening, and not it's happening, but it's somewhere brought into the market as well. They are utilizing it, they are making industrial use of it as well. It's not just in the archives, or it's not just present in the form of papers or journals. So they are making use of all that research work as well, and that only happens when the government have made certain policies, and they actually support the researchers' work too. But this is something that we have to really grow into, I feel, because पाकिस्तान में कोई भी नया काम करना या किसी नई चीज को इंट्रोड्यूस कराना बहुत problematic है.
Sorry for interrupting, Amna. Actually, it's an international conference, so ये हम discussions बाद में कर लेंगे, but we are recording it.
Yes.
So I think like everyone is here, so yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your time. Thank you.
Amna, can you stop sharing your presentation if you are?
I will, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And anyone else who wants to ask any questions from speakers and listeners? Okay. So now I want to proceed further with Mrs. Naima Muzaffar. Her topic is sustainability through visual form, and she's working as an assistant professor at Institute for Art and Culture, Lahore. And she was also a researcher, educator, and a communication designer. So Ms. Naima, please share your screen with us.
Yeah, sure. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. In this share screen. Yeah. No, we
can see the presentation. No.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Just wait a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just new to using the map, so I need to navigate a bit around.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You can take your time. यहाँ पे we have share screen button, so you can click on that.
No, I know, but it's a little bit different in this laptop because I'm so used to my other laptop. So I just need to see
how to share your screenshot with us, so we can, like, on the mobile, so we can.
Naima, if you could WhatsApp the presentation to me, I can probably share this very quickly.
I can email it to you. I think Madiha has my presentation. Madiha, can it be possible for you if you can share it, because somehow I'm using Zoom for the first time on this laptop. Will it be possible for you, Madiha?
You send, if you send the file to Maria, Madhya, she can display your presentation. Okay.
Madhya, you have my presentation, right?
You are mute. Actually, ma'am, Madhya, you are mute.
Madhya, do you have a presentation?
Yes, sir. I have a presentation. I'm just opening it.
I think I've even managed to find the way.
Okay. Okay. I was trying to send, open it.
I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I'm so sorry for the delay because I bet everyone is really tired by now.
No, it's okay.
So is it visible?
Yeah.
It's still processing. So my name is Naima Muzaffar. I've done an MFA in graphic design from Fatma Jinnah Women University, and I've done an MPhil in art and design education from PIFT Lahore. Apart from that, I've worked in Rawalpindi. I've taught there for some time, and also in ISC. So my focus basically is on research, and I'm really committed to teaching. So the research I want to share with you people is at a very initial stage. Can everyone see my presentation?
No, we cannot.
Because it's still not even visible to me.
Okay,
It still says preparing slides.
Okay, can I share?
Yeah, sure. You can find my
If
presentation.
you can stop sharing so I can.
Okay. Stop sharing.
Is it visible?
Thank you so much.
Sorry?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay.
So one of my teachers, she always used to tell us to always research on something that gives you a quizzical itch, which makes you, sort of like itch, because if you have an itch, you can't avoid it. So this was an idea because my field is visual communication design. So I basically, how this research started was, I read about the research of an Italian graphic designer, Benedetta Prappa. So she talks about visual sustainability. And it overall covers a lot of topics, which includes what sort of like form the visual should take. Then she talks about the materials that should be used in visual communication design. She talks in a very holistic manner. So that really sort of like, interested me a lot, and I wanted to research further into it. So before me, all the speakers who have talked about this topic have all been textile designers. So although I feel like a very lone wolf, because I'm going to be, sort of like representing the field of visual communication design. But I think what I felt was there's already a lot of debate going on about in the field of textile design about sustainability. And I think that this debate has also been going around in the field of fashion design. And many of my friends are from the field of fashion and textile design. So whenever I used to hear them talk about sustainability or work on such projects, so I was always curious to know that how can visual communication design play a part in, the way creating awareness about visual communication, because creating awareness is one of the, a very important component or a very important role that this field can play. So basically, what is the importance of visual communication or communicating an idea through in the form of a visual? So visuals are a language in itself, because they, in a way, you do not even often need words. It's often a simple visual which is able to communicate the idea or the message that it wants to do. So visuals are very powerful because they can influence people, and they can influence a very wide range of audience. They can be reached easily to the masses. So in visual communication design, what are the main components? So we have words, we have visuals, and we have form. So visual communication is related to visual form, and in specifically this field, we have visual identity. Like if we are talking about a brand, so every brand has their own visual identity. Then they have a logo, it's in a certain shape, in a certain form. So how can these elements that come under this field, they can contribute to the, the idea, the concept of sustainability. Now, these components can be used in various ways to design, produce, send, and interpret messages. We see ads, we see print ads, we see video ads, we see hoardings, we see boards, we see brochures, pamphlets, newspaper ads, everything. So they all, in a way combined, fall under the field of visual communication. So in visual communication, what is the main objective? It is to provide functional, aesthetic, and contextual ideas. So the idea should have an aesthetic value, it should be functional, it should have a certain, function to play in the society, and it should be in its context. And this is done by combining different graphical elements. Matiha, can you move to the next slide? So this was an idea or a structure that, Benedicta Kripa, she presents about what basically a form is when you're talking about a visual form. So it includes, it's sort of like, it's the gray area falling in between the two circles. So it's talk about looks, which are the aesthetic elements, the appearance of the body or the formal configuration or the visual elements that an image would have. And then it talks about context. So what basically do you want to convey the message? What role is the image going to play? What influence is it going to have on the audience, the people who see it? So form, it falls in between the aesthetic quality and the functional or the contextual quality. So she is someone who is really propagating the idea of visual sustainability. She talks in different conferences. So reading her ideas about visual sustainability was, but sort of like caused me to have the quizzical itch. Matiha, next please. So what is the significance of this topic for maybe myself as a researcher, as a teacher, and then what is the significance of this topic on overall the field of graphic or visual communication design? So as I've already said, there's a lot of debate that's happening internationally and nationally about sustainability in the field of textile designs and then in fashion design, because fashion, textile, these are two fields which talk a lot about materials. How those materials are going to be constructed, then the resources that are going to be used, how all that, the cycle of creating a material is harming the environment, eco-friendly materials. So this is all the debate that is happening in those fields. But unfortunately, this debate is pretty much missing from the field of graphic design and visual communication design, not just in Pakistan, but overall all over the world. It's not being talked over there because graphic design, visual communication design is often associated a lot with the commercial side, along with creating awareness. But this idea needs to be propagated more. Now, I'm also going to talk about the kind of visuals that exist already and how that can be changed and what needs to be incorporated to bring about that change. So there's an urgent need, in my view, to bring awareness about sustainability in the visual communication field, because they have the power to educate masses with the help of visuals they are able to create. Matiha, next. Matiha, it's sort of like you're paying me back for all the times I helped you while we were working together. So why I think showing sustainability in visual form is important. It's important because the ideas that sustainability talks about are very abstract. They are not something which are very objective. They can be very subjective. So they cannot exist a single form or a single way through which you can show those images. And while it's, explaining them is hard, but the thing is visualizing them is even harder. And especially when I remember from my experience, the first experience of teaching in NCA, we used to focus a lot upon visualization, the process of visualization, because these days students have become so used to, copying images from the internet that they do not visualize things on their own. They don't have their own language of how they can convert an idea into a visual. So visualizing for me is very important, but that is a very hard task because then you come up with images initially which are, sort of like repeated or very commonly associated with an idea. And then you need to come up with your own idea of what you think that idea is. And I think engaging people with sustainability as a whole is very extremely difficult because sustainability, accepting that in your life is not an easy choice. We have very easy choices in our lives. Leaving them and, making choices in our lives which talk about sustainability, that is going to be a very big change. So it's not going to be an easy task. And when we talk about, visual communication design, so we have seen how people engage with which images they are able to engage. So people engage and maybe take action on images that feel tangible, that they're able to relate with. Otherwise, if they're not able to relate with an issue, they're going to feel like, okay, this is happening in some other part of the world. So who are we to care about? Like if we talk about the current situation in Pakistan, the flood that came to Pakistan. So Pakistan is one of those countries which is contributing very less to the climate change issue environment, but Pakistan did suffer a lot, and Pakistan had to raise a voice so that internationally people were able to know that this is happening here and they need to help us out, contribute positively towards saving the environment, so that people like those the flood affectees don't have to go through that ordeal again. So that needs to feel tangible and something they can relate to, they feel like they might experience on their own. So what the visuals that we normally see associated with the idea of sustainability have become cliches. They are so common that we have a sort of like even it's one step ahead of ignoring. We have moved ahead of those images because we've gotten so used to looking at them again and again. They have become meaningless for us. I'm going to show you some example of those images. So these images, they do not feel relevant or relatable for people. And what has become vital is that this idea should be presented to people with the clarity and relatability so that they are able to act upon it. Like if we move to the next slide, you'll be able to see some of the images which you might have seen very regularly associated with the idea of visual sustainability. Like often you see water drops, someone holding the earth in their hands. These are very cliche images which we have gotten very used to looking at. So you people might have interacted with these images. And often when we tell students to work upon the idea of sustainability, these are the sort of images that we often get as a result. The next one. So how we can change this? Why showing sustainability in visual form is important? Because sustainability has become an urgent question in the field of visual field. But the discourse is still very blurry and limited to questions of material or process. Like if we talk about material and process is something which is a huge part of the field of textile design. But in graphic design, it's a little bit different. So already there's a lot of debate going on about materials and processes. Even I think the debate should also about materials and process. This debate should also be happening in graphic design. But other than that, we should also be working on how to create more awareness about it. So what I wanted basically through this research was present an approach towards sustainability in which we bring the focus towards the visual qualities of a design and how that can contribute. Today, if we talk about the world overall, there is an awareness about sustainability happening. People are looking towards it because there's a lack of resources. We've already wasted a lot of our resources, and it's showing up. We see climate change, we see the sort of like natural disasters, flood, which has already happened in Pakistan. So this is all something we are slowly experiencing the consequences of what has happened before. So if now we don't take a step, I think the next generation is even going to suffer more. But sustainability still, in my view, isn't receiving the sort of creativity that other communication challenges are, experiencing. So what is happening is very unimaginative approaches are happening towards this idea, which aren't attractive to many people. So if something is going to, grasp their attention, they're going to read through it, they're going to look into it, and then maybe they're going to think about it, to question the visual, but that is not happening. So due to this, people are less likely to buy into sustainable products, services, and lifestyles. They are not, willing to make that change, that bit drastic step. So proposing the idea that visuality can play towards sustainable futures, which can happen, in my view, with a focus on structural changes within the statics of how the visual should be created. So I'm going to show you some examples of how that can happen. So first of all, Benedetta Trippa, she talks about layers of action for sustainable forms. So initially, she talks about symbolic, which means like what sort of like image should be created, because images have a symbolic value. Then she talks about material, because material is good for the planet. We've already seen examples of how material can change, or innovation in material can contribute to a sustainability in the talk of people who were from the field of textile design, but even material choices are important in profit design because, it involves printing. For printing, there's a certain sort of like ink involved. There's a certain sort of like paper or material involved in which you're going to do that printing. But then she talks about a holistic approach, which is structural, which involves the symbolic and the material elements, and which she believes is the transformative form, which should happen with a multi-layered and multi-environment approach. We need to be aware of the power relations, as already Nida has talked about the power relations, about how difficult it is to make that big change, the change of viewpoints. So creating new solutions. We need to come up with new ideas, like even like Sanya has talked about creating new solutions. If you talk about what Maham was speaking, she was also talking about creating new solutions of already existing ideas. So this is something which is also a part of design thinking, like to empathize, which is a very important part in design. You need to understand what is the problem. And when you've identified the problem, then you need to empathize what the people going through that problem are experiencing. And then I think you're able to bring up a design which answers those questions, or which, is sort of like a solution to that problem. So then generating structural change and change in mindsets. So what I'm talking about is change in mindsets with the help of visuals for the purpose of creating awareness. So Madiha, next one. So this is just an example of an image. You might have often seen such images representing the idea of sustainability. Like there's going to be a bulb, there's going to be a tree. Green color is the dominant color, which is often used in such. But as I talked about already, these images have become cliches. They don't hit you in that way. You all must be aware of the idea of shock art. Like art needs to raise questions. So you need to shock the viewer, the audience, so that, that question raises curiosity in their mind. And they, as a viewer, are able to find answers on their own. Because everyone's perception is going to be different. So that element is missing from this image because we've become so used to looking at it, we don't feel it that way. But if you look at the next image, maybe that can raise that idea of shock in people. Make them think for a little moment. For example, this image says, the ink in this report is made from just 1 week's worth of pollution. So in a way, through a simple image or text, what you're doing is you're trying to, make people understand what is happening behind the production of this product. If we keep on producing this product, what is going to happen to the environment? So in this way, like I'm going to give you a very crude example, but it's an example which, I've experienced myself. I had to tell my house help to stop wasting water, because if she keeps on doing that, in the future, her children are going to be deprived of that natural resource. And that was the moment, that was, the shocking moment when she had to think on herself, because if I keep on stopping her from, don't waste water, you should, minimize the use of water, it's not going to work. But I had to tell her to keep on wasting water. And in the future, your children are going to, even struggle to have a drop of water to drink. And that was the moment finally that I was able to create that, small change in my household, that she has, minimized the usage of water in the house. So these are small things that we can do, which might be able to create an awareness about this issue. Now, if you look at the next image, again, it's a cliche image. It's something, earth, water drops. This is something, we have seen so many times. Like if we talk about this image, it talks about climate change. But it seems like it's a very distant idea, because until and unless, the flood water doesn't enter our houses, we're not going to feel what we're going to suffer if this keeps on happening. I don't know if any one of you are fond of watching movies, but there was a movie recently, Don't Look Up, which talks about, something that's in front of your face, but you deny. You are like, unless and until it doesn't hit my house, I'm not going to care about a meteorite that is, going to end the world. So that's a very interesting movie which talks about the idea of climate change. And how, even knowing that it is something which is, present, it's a problem, we still, we made the choice of ignoring it. But if we look at the next image, suddenly the same idea, it becomes relatable. So what they've done is, but they treated the image is in a way that they have, used important monuments from all over the world. And they've tried to, make you realize that if you keep on doing what you're already doing, by 2050, the sea level is even going to drown 10 Downing Street. So maybe in such a way, through a visual, what we can locally maybe do is we could take the local monuments and make people realize that this is going to happen. If we keep on, going the way we are already going. So these are some of the, the ideas through which maybe we can make the issue relatable to people. And, these are some of the visual forms that can maybe do the role of making people aware. So there was another researcher, Madiha, if you go to the next slide. Already Amna in her talk, she was talking about green art. So there's this researcher, he's an American researcher, he's a graphic designer, Brian Doherty. So he's talking about green graphic design. Now, what can graphic design do to create the environment green? So in his way, green graphic design is about using the power of design to shift the status quo towards sustainable solutions. We are again going back to what Nida was talking about, that the status quo is not willing to accept those sustainable solutions. But then what we can do is we can use the power of design to do that. Now, Brian Doherty, if you move to the next slide, these were two, Benedetta Prippa and Brian Doherty, two people who, who are the rare examples who are talking about sustainability in the field of graphic design. Other than that, that debate is pretty much missing. So Brian Doherty, he says that we need to have very clear-cut approaches to making environmentally sensible work. And he talks about ecological communication and sustainable corporate design. So even wants to take the idea of sustainability into corporate design, even into the idea of branding. Branding, as you know, is a very important part of graphic design, and it's something that we are that we encounter on a daily basis. Like we are surrounded by brands. Everything we use, everything we have in our houses, everywhere we go has become a brand now. So what he says is that the influence of design is increasing. And he thinks that graphic designers now have a more added responsibility to produce sustainable work. In his idea, so what he, in a metaphorical way, he calls green design as an avocado, which is a fruit, which has a very central, which is a very strong center, a seed in the center. So he says that the center is the change that design should bring. So he calls green design as an avocado. And his argument revolves around fundamentally changing the way that we think about graphic design. He thinks that what we need to do, the steps that we need to take as graphic designers is better decision making. Long before we talk about, what sort of materials we should use, how we should use those materials. In his way, that is designing backwards. I don't know if you all have experienced this, but there's an idea called UBD, backward design in even curriculum. Like you initially think about what is the outcome you want your students to bring up, and then you go back that how as a teacher you're going to reach towards that outcome, maybe in 4 months, in a semester, maybe in 1 year, maybe by the time they've passed out in 4 years. So he also talks about designing backwards. You want to know as a designer what is you want to achieve through your design, and then you start stepping back and seeing how what are the different steps you can take to achieve that goal. So the next one. So here he talks about design as an avocado. Because design is stuff, then he says design is message. At the core, design is change. He thinks that learning to be a green design is a process of refining that internal compass that guides our design. So that includes social and ecological considerations. Again, social sustainability comes here. Ecological sustainability comes here. So the ideas keep on repeating, but it's just that, in different fields, it's going to be executed in a different manner. So Madiha, next one. So then we come to the idea of sustainability in branding. Like Sanya talked about, if you look at, the different brands in Pakistan, the only textile or fashion design that we find is, talking about sustainability is Sapphire. Sapphire even were in the first one who started, digging plastic bags and started incorporating bags made out of clothes. And there was also one campaign in which they started giving seeds with every purchase, in every bag, there's going to be a small pouch in which there are going to be seeds which you can easily plant in your garden. So that was one of their attempts, which was a very good campaign. So how can we bring sustainability into the idea of branding in graphic design? So combining visual communication design and concept of sustainability into branding. What it can do is it can attract the audience which want to see sustainability being, in a tangible form. It's going to, capture that audience because people are started becoming aware about this issue. How this can be done is when brands adopt sustainability and they seek to have a vital and effective role in fulfilling human needs in a manner so that it's able to preserve society and the environment. What steps they can do is it can be done by including social and environmental practices so that it's going to impact the entity of a brand. People are going to perceive it as a very sustainable brand. And if I don't know, but some words have become very eco-friendly. These words have become a lot of it's part of a lot of the debates which are happening. So if you're going to associate that idea with a brand, I think it's going to help out the brand. Then if sustainability becomes an integral part of the brand, and they practice it through different branding activities, so I think it's going to promote that brand in a way. And then hidden with a hidden maybe agenda, I'm going to use hidden agenda in a positive manner. It's also going to incorporate the idea of sustainability. It's also going to spread it. So merely making the functional approach in defining the brand is inadequate because it does not take into account the emotional ties and consumer experience which you normally associate with the brand. Because if you have as a consumer, you might have felt that there's a certain brand, you have an emotional tie with it. When you go out, you feel like this brand speaks about what I want, what I feel like I am. So you often buy from the same brands again and again. So it's also going to, it's also in a way going to contribute towards that process. So Madiha, next. So for example, this is just an example of how you can do eco-branding. Now, it's from the word, like Amna was talking about, there are certain new terms which are being introduced into the field of sustainability. So eco-branding can be one of them. If you look at this, it's a very small change, very minimal change, but 35% less ink use can save millions per year. So small drops can create a whole ocean. If we start from a small aspect or on a small scale, even then we can become agents of change. So eco-branding is an interesting experiment which basically proposes a more ecological branding design, saving, for instance, some ink from logo printing or energy consumption for digital interfaces through the use of economical colors, like, for example, black or green. Now, the real challenge is going to be trying to transform your brand into an eco-brand without losing the power of the original identity, which I think is not going to be lost because McDonald's is a brand. People are still going to go to McDonald's if even they make that change. It's still going to have its own importance. People are still going to have their own emotional ties with the brand. Consumers are still going to go and buy McDonald's, even if they're going to make ecological, eco-friendly changes in their brand. So Matiha, if you can go to the next slide. So understanding sustainable values to be reflected in brand identity can be a strategic concept which can include sustainable aspects such as benefits, which are not only going to be for the consumers, but also going to be the stakeholders or the people who own the brand. Sustainability integration can be reflected in various components of the brand identity. For example, if we talk about the word brand identity can include logos, it can include brochures, posters, advertisements, bulletins. This is all part of what we call brand identity or business identity. So the integration of visual communication is a special combination of art and language which can be used to convey information. So these are some of the steps which maybe the brands can take in order to make more sustainable choices in the field of visual communication design. For example, if you look at the next slide, again, sort of like the same one that I showed you about McDonald's, but if you look at these different big companies, the big brands, so merging aesthetic choices with sustainable approach, in my view, can not only help increase the brand value for the people who want to go for sustainable options, but although it's going to be equivalent to a drop of water in an ocean, but I think this approach can still not only create a difference, but it can also act as a catalyst for change. Because if these big corporations are going to make these changes, the other businesses are always going to follow. So Madiha, next one. Now, if I talk about myself as a designer, as a researcher, as an educator, so how I want to take this research further on, I've designed a plan of action for myself. What I can do in these 3 roles that I can play professionally. So as a designer, what can be done? Yeah, what I as a designer or what other visual communication designers can do. So developing ideas, brands, and products, to keep in mind the concept of empathy, because empathy, I think, is very important, relating to other people. And if you relate to other people, we are going to relate to their problems. And then the design that you're going to create is going to be relatable. Then as a researcher, what I can do is maybe promoting the idea of stepping away from the cliche images and bringing forward visuals that raise questions, because art has, its main purpose is raising questions. It invokes curiosity, so that when people become curious, they want to find, something further on about that idea, and then resulting in creating awareness. And because if if you're just going to talk about something, people are not going to be interested. But if you make people think about it, then maybe, it's going to invoke their interest. So then what I can do as an educator, maybe by promoting the practice of visualization in students to bring ideas about sustainability that have, more clarity and the element of relatability. That's it. Because design, after all, is an opportunity to save our planet.
Naima, I must say it's very, very, very thorough, detailed, to the point, elaborated, and I don't know what not. Because to be very honest, I was wondering how sustainable, not sustainable textile, how sustainability can be used in graphic design. Whether, it's very eye-opening for me, really nice.
Thank you so much.
I would like Ma'am Maliha to share her comments.
Well, I think it was very thorough, very well done, mashallah. Naima, excellent research and method of going about it. I really don't have any questions because it was so clear. I mean, everything was spot on. So I'm it was really good. Wonderful hearing you.
Yeah, actually, eco-branding is really, it's a very good topic, and I really enjoyed it because he opened my eyes, because I had a very minimal vision about this. So he has given me lots of options to discover. Okay, we can focus on McDonald's and things like that. So yeah, and how the colors they are using. So yeah, it's a very good idea, and I'm so glad that young blood is doing so good, and they are exploring and initiating ideas. Those are helping the society, actually, that can help the society in the future. So good luck to all. And ma'am, anything else you want to share with us? Because we have taken so much time of yours.
No. It was a pleasure being here. It was wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and Dr. Javed and I think Ma'am Zahida Qadri. She was an EndNote speaker, so I would like if she's here, so she can share her views regarding this conference.
So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me for this conference, and it's really an honor to be part of this. I'm on site for the excavation, so therefore I have to wear this mask due to some spray we have just get in our rooms because of pesticides and everything. So every discussion and every presentation especially has been kind of adoptable approaches, which if we really adopt, it's become a change maker for our society. And when we are talking about the sustainable development in the museums, so unfortunately, understanding museums as a tool of development sustainable society is not existing many of the developing countries, especially in Pakistan. And when we are talking about Pakistan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure, we are.
Yes, we can hear you.
We are hearing you.
So when we're talking about art museum, unfortunately, we do not have any art museum in Pakistan, which is really sad, although we have a kind of scholars and experts of international levels who have kind of an award winnings and everything. So it's really sad and kind of, I know we have to think about that. Why do we do not have any art museum in Pakistan right at the moment? Well, this is an international conference, so I really would like to engage more of the international contacts in this. The ICR, I'm the chair of the ICR, and when we are talking about the regional museums and regional art and culture, every region and every area has its own culture, textile, colors, fabric, everything. And unfortunately, we are not developing our museums in a way that region can be, portray in their museums and their art. Even in Pakistan, you go southern Punjab, you go to Sindh, their third has another cultural aspect. Their fabric is totally different. Their colors are totally different. If you go to some other part of the Sindh, like Larkana and some other parts, they have their totally different culture. And this concept of regional arts museum and regional kind of art exhibitions is not unfortunately initiated that much. So what I would like to suggest after these presentation, and I would like to make my speech minimized because I'm a little bit afraid of signals. This is site, or so we do not have that much good signals here. So I think the research we have shared in this conference and the ideas that have been shared, that must be portrayed in to the government policies and to the higher authorities. And this is not very difficult. I would like to say one thing like that we have so much emphasis on the environment and green environment and everything. But approaching these environmental changes and approaching these, adopting these environmental, sustainability, we just forget that how important role culture and art can play. Like just randomly, when I saw the presentations of Naima, and our first presenter, I think her name is Sania. Yeah, Sania.
Yeah.
So the approaches and the thing, kind of research they are sharing, we can achieve 4 goals immediately, like gender equality, the goal, it's a goal 5. Then partnership, goal 17, because it's enhance the partnership between departments. Then the goal 8, it's like a decent work and environmental growth. And the third one is the well-being. So when I was just listening these, I was just writing down that these 4 goals we can approach with sustainable goal. We can approach by adopting these kind of things. So I'm wondering that if government of Pakistan and if governments of other developing countries, instead of taking loans and taking grants for other purposes, if we can invest in these things, invest in regional arts museum, invest in museums of sustainable art and culture and textile, I think we can we faster achieve these sustainable development goals, which we have to achieve till 2030.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your views. And this is a very valuable feedback you have given to us. I would like to add that, yes, I agree to this, that we don't have such good museums in our country. So we need to, I think on immediate basis, we need to establish good museums. We need to create jobs for curators and researchers and historians to talk about museums and to restore our heritage. So yes, we are, as a textile designer, I always I also work for conservation and preservation of wool fiber, and I have been through. I have gone through the. I've gone to the other countries for the research, and I always feel that we need to work on containing our culture and to preserve and conserve and we should work on our museums to like we should establish museums like I have seen Zahra Hussain and few other people are making museums and sustaining culture of Hunza, and they are sustaining their doing wonderful job in Hunza. They preserved the artifacts. So like that, I think we need to change this, and we need to focus on establishing culture for museums. So yeah, Dr. Javed, and yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, I would like to say thanks to my learned keynote speaker and
Yeah,
endnote speaker, and also to all the participating speakers. So it was a wonderful thing to see, which a few things were already not in my knowledge too. But then when it comes to museums, so that we can only do that. Every institution should think of one room allocated to their museum. So department museum, as you are working in NCA or you are working in Punjab University or wherever you are. So one room must be allocated for museums, and these kind of research, not much display about the products, but research products. See, so there's bamboo research and what I have say mulberry research and all this. So these research should be displayed in that museums, and so that the students, coming students, should get inspired from those research, and they could also opt this kind of exercises. And this is where we lack in particularly in art area for research. You see, we just prefer a studio work, and of course that is also very necessary, because without that you cannot research. So but more of the Malia work, if we think that she gives a title, and but this is almost a research. You see, if you take her one painting and you can write a paper on that, you can do that. Okay, so this is what Maria must think about it too. So she should give us a book, which is a comprehensive research on her paintings. You see. So we would love to buy it from market. So this is that will be also of an asset for a future generations. You see, so they will the art students will learn from that research book. You see, so I don't know whether Malia is there or not, but I am really obliged to all of you, and I would love that you people take this initiative of museums in your institutions. And I see that two major institutions are here. So one, the textile department of cultural that college Lahore, and the other is an NCA, Rawalpindi. So they both should start initiative from that, and they display their research work over there, so that students should come and visit. Not necessarily that everybody must see it, but one day it will be a need of institution, your great university and institution. they will put a room on a boundary wall, and they will give access to general public from roadside to visit that museum too. So it is, you see, it is just you people should break ice, and then you will see that there will a lot of people will be interested in that and give you support on in this regard. So thank you very much indeed, and definitely my respected and note speaker, she was in a field work, but she spared that time for us. So she is from us, really. She is a board member of ICOM Pakistan, and she is the she is now also a member of this ICR International Committee. So this so lot of help she can give it to us, as she is in a regional museum. So I would suggest that such these could be invited in a conference on ICR. These speakers should be invited on conference of ICR, and so that the international people should directly listen them their research, and they could get some research colleagues
Collaborative
interacting
researchers.
with them.
Yeah.
Yes, collaborative interacting with them. So this is how I feel a future of this little session we have today. So in future it will bring a fruit, in fact. So with these words, I would say thank you very much indeed. And if you have any question about international virtual conference or National Virtual Conference. Yes, as I was talking with Madhya, that the similar research should be expressed in Urdu and a
Yeah, you
national
told me. Yeah.
virtual conference. So uh, I don't know how it is comfortable for the speakers to speak this research in Urdu, but definitely it's our language. So we must uh, so our people would like to listen that, you see, when you are talking about Carnival, so how can Carnival Bamboo people will be you know think that this business should be given attention, more attention than other cotton business and all these things. So this is the only way that you take the medium Urdu and take these conferences to them, so they can listen what you are talking about, you see. When you are talking in their language, so I don't mind in Saraiki, I don't mind in Punjabi, you see, I don't mind the conference in Pashto. It's a national virtual conference is being designed for these languages, you see. But this is, and you see, we are very slow in that. Otherwise, the Italian has, the chair Italian has already done this. Chair Mexico has already done this in Spanish. So they are very active in that. They prefer their languages. But we definitely, our system was a colonial system. So we are still in somewhere lost in English, you see. So, but I would love that the next conference must be in Urdu, you see.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you very much indeed, and thank you all for.
Yeah, and I would like to end it by saying that I'm really glad that Ma'am Maliha focused on art and Amina just connected the art and design, and everyone else focused on technical design. So the concept is complete, and everyone was so full of knowledge, and I really learned a lot. And thank you so much, Dr. Javed, for giving me this opportunity, and platform of IVCOM, ICOM, for giving me this opportunity to create this platform for the youngsters. Thank you.